hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bad sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas. An advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father. I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back. Welcome back to the broadcast. Shout out to everybody who is in here. Make sure you hit the #1 button. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dennis Spurling, also known as the Blizzard King. For you all who don't know me, I'd like to welcome everybody back. I know it's been a minute, but I'm back in it. I have, for the most part, taken some time off. Many of you guys probably know this already, but I have 3 boys, and I have a very young son. He's only 9 years old. And so in the summertime, you know, I involve him in a lot of activities. And the reason I do that is because, well, you know, it's good for development, especially for boys. And so, you know, man, get off work, gotta drive across town, all kinds of stuff to do, man. You got to feed him, wake him up, brush your teeth. You know, basically doing my single dad thing, man. But shout out to my family. My oldest sons have been tremendously helpful in helping that. But my little boy is headed back to his mama's house. So Uncle D is able to get back to what I do, and that is talking to you all, man. It's good to be here. Now, tonight, well, since the last time I did a live, there's a lot going on, and there's going to be a lot of subjects that I deal with over the next, we'll say next session, next live sessions with Uncle D. One of the main things I want to deal with is, and I want to continue dealing with, is this immigration thing, because for the most part, people are still trying to shame. Realistically has nothing to do with us per se. All right, this is other people's time to catch the vapors, catch the smoke, and it's not our time. But you know, when I do things, I like to take folks on a journey. So we're not just going to talk about immigration. We're going to put it in a historical context so that you all can have a true understanding of what's going on. And this is what I like to do, you know, and I like to teach people. Now, at the bottom of the screen, for you guys who don't know, along with being busy dealing with my kids, I also have a day job, and that job is being an attorney, practicing law for, it'll be 25 years. I've been practicing law. Next year, it'll be 25 years since I've been sworn in. And man, that's a long time to have been doing the same thing. And nevertheless, I'm really good at what I do. As I said, it is my day job. And so my telephone number is running across the bottom of the screen. If you've been involved in an accident, if you're injured, if a family member has been injured, feel free to contact me at 1-713-229-0770 for a free consultation. That is 713-229-0770. Ask for Mr. Spurling, and you might just get me on the line if you got a good case. And if you got a bad case, we're probably going to send you a little letter to say we don't want it. Nevertheless, you have plenty of options. But that being the case, man, you guys make sure that you consider me, and I'm not begging you for anything. I'm really good at what I do as an attorney, and I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy helping people. I love fighting the good fight, and I've been doing it for a quarter century, and I'd appreciate it if you would all if you all would patronize my business. Now, as it is right now, I want to be clear about something. I am an advocate for Black men. That is the way I started. And the reason I became an advocate for Black men is because when I really started doing this, gosh, I'm going to say back probably 2012, there weren't a lot of people speaking up on behalf of Black men. It just was not, they just weren't there. Now you got everybody speaking up. I started doing this when it was unpopular. But, you know, now there's a lot of people who speak up for Black men. You know, as a matter of fact, it's almost fashionable. Nevertheless, what I think about it, the bottom line is, at this particular point and juncture in American history, it is necessary that I use my education and my skill and my experience to begin to be an advocate for Black people in general, specifically foundational Black American people. And that still falls within what is good for Black American men. And the reason I say that is because the reason that I am an advocate for Black men is because I have the interest of Black people in general in mind. You will not have a strong Black community without strong Black men. I'm doing my part to raise strong Black men. I tell my sons, my preference is for them to date and marry women of African descent. Now, that does not necessarily mean that they have to be foundational Black American. They can be Caribbean, they can be African, they can be biracial, you know, as long as the young woman understands that she is a Black woman, I'm cool with it. It has my blessing. Now, that doesn't mean that, if my sons find a good, beautiful woman who loves them and treats them well, I'm going to be in any way disrespectful. I would never do that. I have a general respect for womanhood, which is why, I always refer to Black women and women in general as lovely ladies, and I don't refer to them out of their name. And the reason I do that is because that's just not who I am, okay? Nevertheless, family, at this particular point, it's necessary for me to use my skill and my education to begin to make sure that the position of foundational Black Americans is heard on these in the public discourse, and it's necessary. That being the case, now that I've explained myself to you all, as I've reintroduced myself, big shout out to Mr. 43TX, shout out to Mr. 43TX and the Wrench Mob. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you for all my members. Mark, the freelancer, good looking out, bro. Good to see you. Broken Blade, Mr. 43TX. Mr. Mark, the freelancer, and once again, Joshua Ben Yosef, thank you so much, family. Who else we got up in here, man? Black Samurai, the Wrench Mob is deep. Y'all make sure you guys join the membership. All that vintage Blizzard King, that old school Uncle D. All of that is in the membership. If you want to check out some of my stuff from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, make sure you go over there and check that out. Now, that being the case, if you at some point in this broadcast, I will have spoken so much that many of you will have learned something. Now, I'm not begging for anything. I'm not begging anybody for anything. However, if you learn something, I should earn something. That's pretty much where I go with it. If you learn something, I should earn something. If you don't learn anything, you don't owe me anything. That is what lets me know that I'm doing my job over here. And the thing is, you all are the barometer. You let me know if I'm doing a good job. If I'm doing a good job, that means, hey, this is going to be one of those epic broadcasts that people are going to look at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now. We can chop this thing up and spread it out. Shout out to my man Big Bass Life, who puts all my videos and whatnot together. But anyway, let's stop dancing around and let's get down to what we came to get down to. America has reached a breaking point. For decades, this country has toyed with immigration and half-hearted reforms, endless debates, and Band-Aid policies that solve nothing. Meanwhile, millions of people have been living in the shadows and draining our resources, sending money out of our communities and destabilizing the very neighborhoods Black Americans built with our blood and labor. So here's the bottom line. send them home or lock them up. And I know that's cold for me to say that, but I'm gonna say it again. Shout out to my man Lord Giatron. Appreciate you, young brother, for coming through. The first one to contribute to the super chat. Thank you so much, family. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Cash App up too, man. You guys, if you've been in a car accident, make sure you hit me up at 713-229-0770. But the Cash App is up at this point. Look, let's look, as I said, either you're gonna send them home or you're gonna lock them up. There's no more gray areas. Okay, there's no more pretending that this system is about compassion when in reality it's about control, profit, and survival. If you came here illegally, you don't get to hide behind slogans or sentiments. You wanted to work? Well, now you work. You work for the state. Okay, that's what you do. You're going to work for the state. You're going to work for the government in the form of the penitentiary. That's what's going to happen. Okay. See, you're going to work for the people of America. For the same America you've been taken from. Don't get it twisted. This isn't about cruelty. This is about clarity. Because while the media cries foul, let's not forget this country has always had a system to deal with undesirables. First, it was the convict leasing. And then it was mass incarceration. And now the playbook has been dusted off for a new target, the undocumented illegal aliens. But let's be real, foundational Black Americans know this game better than anybody. We were the blueprint. They tested these systems on us. The Black codes, the war on drugs, the 1994 crime bill, slavery itself couldn't destroy our families, but mass incarceration nearly did. And it was applauded from both sides of the aisle while we suffered. So when I say send them home or lock them up, understand this. It's not our burden to carry, Black folks. It's not our fight to fight, but we will not be left empty-handed while others profit off the same machinery built on our backs. This time we watch, we strategize, and we get our piece without apology. Now, if you think that this is about criminals, think again. The receipts are everywhere. In Georgia, 475 workers were detained at the Hyundai LG EV battery mega plant in Ellaville the other day. Over 300 of them were South Korean nationals who probably walked up across the border somewhere in Texas under Joe Biden's administration. Now, DHS bragged it was the largest single site immigration raid in U.S. history. And the fallout was so severe that South Korea had to arrange a charter flight to take its people home, and the work at the site came to a halt. And the DHS didn't stop there. They made it clear, more business, more targets are coming. Now, what would happen if North Korea didn't send that flight to pick those people up? They're going to jail. They're getting locked up. In Nebraska, almost 80 workers were rounded up at a meat production plant in Omaha, the state's largest worksite raid under Trump. And guess what? The very next day, the production was slashed down to 20%. In California, raids hit agriculture and licensed cannabis facilities in a little town called Camarillo. And the result, tear gas in the streets, protests, and even U.S. citizens wrongfully detained. The chaos is spilling far beyond the so-called criminal aliens we were told that this would target. So what does that tell you? It's not just about the criminals. It's about all of them. And here's the kicker. ICE arrests people with no criminal convictions, and those arrests have surged by 800%. And this year, and that's just this year alone. Let that sink in. 800%. So this administration has also tripled daily arrest quotas, proving once and for all that the criminals only line was nothing but a political cover. In Chicago, You see a bunch of liberal protesters out there, okay, marching against raids that sweep up ordinary workers and families, okay? And the White House is referring to it as enforcement. Now, again, the reason I say this is because there's a lot of black people that 100% support this. It's a lot of black people. I'm gonna tell you, I know you support it because I speak with you and I talk to you. Okay, and so we just gonna take it to another level tonight. I want y'all to hang around to close to the end. We're gonna talk about it in a way. I'm gonna show you how to make some money. Okay, we're gonna learn a lot today. All right. Now, the other aspect of this that I want to talk about is these are not just raids, it's policy. DHS, ICE has rolled out fines, money. And they are fining people $998 per day for anyone who fails to leave after the deportation order. So you go to court, you have your ICE administration hearing, they tell you to leave, you decide, oh, well, I'm gonna just stay and keep working. From that point forward, they will fine you $998 per day. That's nearly $30,000 a month for staying. And if you don't pay, they can seize your property, your house, your cars, your bank accounts. And so what this is doing is ICE is pushing migrants to self-deport using what is called the CBP Home app. It's a high-tech leash, and it funnels people right back into custody if they play the game wrong. Now, look, there was a leak that came out in July 2025 when I was on my vacation, and it was the ICE memo, okay? And it directs the ICE officers, or should I say it directs the court officers to deny bond hearings altogether for millions who are now classified as applicants for admission. The translation is no judge, no bail, just indefinite detention while cases crawl through the backlog system that can take years. Can you imagine? There is no habeas corpus. You just stay in jail. What are they going to do with those bodies after they get locked up? So basically, you're just in jail. You're just another body. Somebody say 1994 crime bill. It's a lot of money in that. And here's another thing. On September 8th, which is just today, the Supreme Court lifted the limit on Southern California roving raids. Remember about a month or two ago, you had all these ICE officers and all these federal law enforcement officers jumping out. They were stopping people based on how they look, language, ethnicity, or appearance. On its face, that is racial profiling, and that is against the law. Okay. In fact, in the opinion, Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who is the only Latino Supreme Court justice, warned that it makes Latinos fair game to be seized at any time. Yes. Okay. And at the same time, Trump ordered Marines into Los Angeles to back up ICE raids, and a deployment. This type of deployment is basically unprecedented because it seemingly violates the Posse Comitatus Act, which says you can't use American forces, military forces on American soil. Shout out to Lance Jackson. So here's the thing. They keep telling us we're focusing on criminals. All right. That's what's in the press releases. But the reality is plain: workplace raids, non-criminal detentions, daily fines, indefinite custody, and troops on our streets. The administration's message and the administration's actions are worlds apart. So let's call it what it is. This is not about a criminal sweep. It's about a population sweep. And whether you cheer it or condemn it, understand this. Once again, the machinery of detention is not just being built for them. It's being perfected on them. So keep this in mind, black folk. It can always be turned on you. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about this $1,000 a day deportation fee. If mass raids and these indefinite detentions weren't enough, right? Donald Trump's administration is now planning to fine immigrants, like I said before, $1,000 a day, and it's retroactive for 5 years. So for some, that could add up to more than $1 million in debt, so their property could be seized if they can't pay. So just imagine the main reason you came to the United States, which is to make money and have nice things and buy property and save your money, is now being taken away from you. With one fell swoop, they can come take all of your property. Okay? And then the Department of Homeland Security isn't hiding the plan. They told migrants directly the safest option is to deport. In other words, download the CBP Home app, buy your own ticket, and get on up out of here or face financial ruin. Because otherwise, you're gonna have your money taken and you're gonna go to prison indefinitely. And when you get out, you're gonna get deported to Uganda or something. And see, this scheme, it reaches back to 1996. Okay, and that it was originally the fine was originally capped at $500 a day, but Trump is basically doubling it and weaponizing it. And during his first term, he tested the tactic against 9 immigrants living in sanctuary churches and slapped them with hundreds of thousands of dollars in penalties before scaling it back under public pressure. Now he wants to expand it nationwide and targeting the estimated 1.14 million people with final removal orders. So imagine that. 1.14 million people getting taxed for the past 5 years at about $1,000 a day is about $1.8 million each. So 1.8 million times 1.4. Somebody add that up. Okay. So Trump is trying to turn deportation into a business model. If they can deport you, they'll fine you. If you can't pay, they'll take your house, your car, your savings. They'll strip you bare and still lock you up. It's an old convict leasing logic repackaged for the 21st century. Profit through punishment, punishment through profit. And here's the kicker. These fines fall the hardest on the poorest, people who can never afford to pay. Okay? All right? There was a 2019 Migration Policy Institute study that showed that 26% of these illegal undocumented migrants live below the poverty line, and they pay about $1,000 a day. They can't afford to pay $100 a day. And this isn't policy, it's financial strangulations. It's state-sponsored extortion dressed up as law and order. Now, I want to go a little bit more into this court order. The Supreme Court basically it backed Donald Trump's hardline immigration agenda again. And what it allows is it allows federal agents to basically do these wide sweeps in places like California. They didn't like it. They filed a lawsuit against it. It went up through the court system. It took about a month and a half. California lost. Okay. Again, they're not just going after. Okay, so Mark the Freelancer said that's going to be 2 trillion 52 billion dollars. Wow, that's how much these immigrants are going to end up on in the United States. Okay, but again, you know how they were jumping out, just going to places where Latinos were, and they said, well, how are you finding out? How do you know these people are illegal? They said, we based on the fact that they speak Spanish and they're brown. And then California said, no, that's illegal. You can't do that. That's racial profiling. Okay. And the Supreme Court said, oh, well, that's basically what the Supreme Court said. So think about what that means. It means that masked, heavily armed federal agents now have legal cover to pull aside individuals with brown skin in broad daylight, grill them about who they are, where they come from, and haul them away without warrants and without probable cause. One plaintiff in the case, this gentleman's name was Pedro Vasquez Perdomo. He described being locked up, being cold, being hungry, didn't have a lawyer, and his only crime was being brown and speaking Spanish on the street corner. He called it racism with a badge, and he probably is right. Okay, but a Trump's attorney general celebrated this massive victory. A victory for who? It's a victory for Donald Trump's policies and everybody who voted for him. It's a victim for people who think that, you know, we need the National Guard and the Marines deployed in Los Angeles to suppress these protests. And look, this decision isn't about safety, okay? It's not about law and order. It's about power. It's unchecked. It's unrestrained. It's unleashed on Latinos for the most part. And it is what it is, okay? Now, here's the thing. I want y'all to understand something. The best thing California could have did was left that alone. Okay. They shouldn't have tried that case. Okay. What I'm explaining to you is this. This case that just happened in the Supreme Court, the case was never just about raids in Southern California. It was about setting a precedent. It was about power, and the Trump administration just got exactly what they wanted. A legal stamp of approval to turn immigration enforcement into open racial profiling, complete with roving patrols and armed agents and indefinite detention. The court conservative majority didn't just side with Trump. They opened the door for federal agents to stop folks because of the color of their skin, their accent, or their job. Okay? We understand that now, based on this ruling, every Latino is fair game to get seized at any time. Now, I want you all to understand something. I started off with the fact that I'm an attorney. Some cases should never be brought. Sometimes you should just cop a plea, okay? I want you to understand, think back to a case called Plessy versus Ferguson. It happened in 1896. This is when America was still suffering from, there were still people alive who had experienced the Civil War. Black folks received a sort of reprieve with Reconstruction for some time period, and there were still people who were angry about that. So you had a divided America, okay? So this was a bad time for Black folks to try to push for more rights. And that decision, Plessy versus Ferguson, what it ended up happening, it backfired and it enshrined separate but equal for about another 50 to 60 years. And it gave the state cover to strip Black Americans of constitutional protections and lock us into second-class citizenship for another few generations. Now, today, this immigration case is serving the same role because it's green-lighting racialized raids, and the court has handed the government the legal framework it needs to normalize treating immigrants and anyone who looks like them as perpetual suspects. And here's the cruel genius of it. The case probably should have never been brought in the first place. Whatever lawyers in California thought it was a good idea to bring this case to the Supreme Court, you're idiots. That's what I'm telling you. Okay, these immigrant right groups wanted to push back on Trump's tactics, but the administrators, they baited them. They wanted that fight. They wanted to get to the Supreme Court. They wanted the ruling because they knew if they won here, they'd have precedent, ironclad, far-reaching precedent that rolls immigrant rights back for decades. Now, agents can prowl the streets, detain first, and ask questions later, and funnel people into a detention system that profits off everybody in a cage. Let's not kid ourselves. This isn't just about law enforcement. It's about economics. This is about money. We are taking their money. We're locking them up. Okay. Private companies are making money off of housing them, and we're putting them to work, and we're profiting from their captivity. It's the convict leasing dressed up in modern clothes. State power creating a permanent underclass stripped of rights and commodified for labor and permanently in debt. So yes, this is the Immigrants, Plessy versus Ferguson, the case that never should have been tested, the case that slammed the door instead of opening it. And like Plessy, it will haunt not just immigrants, but the whole nation for a whole, because once the state gets a taste of unchecked power, it never stops at one group. Okay. Now I'm gonna go a little bit more into this, and then we're gonna have some videos I want to show you guys so we can kind of begin to lay the precedent. Now, you all may not know what Plessy versus Ferguson is. You've heard it. You've heard of Brown versus the Board of Education. And again, I'm not going to turn this into a law school class, okay? But I do want you to learn something, and this is important. All my American brothers and sisters, especially, you probably didn't get this, but I want you to learn this, okay? So civil rights legal scholars, they warn the immigrant right leaders not to bring this case. Not now, not with this Supreme Court. The bench was already stacked 6-3, okay? And the conservatives with the justices, they dominate, okay? They've consistently sided with Trump's hardline immigration policies, and the odds of winning were slim. And the people out of California in July thought it was a good idea. But there's the danger, and there was the danger of losing, and they've lost enormously. But instead of heeding, common sense, you have some hard-headed lawyers who wanted to push forward, and they were convinced that progress required a test case. But here's the truth. Progress is not a straight line always. It's a zigzag line, and sometimes it goes forward, and sometimes it gets dragged back violently. And by forcing this case at the wrong time, they risk not just losing the battle, but handing a weapon off to people who will be extremists for the next couple of generations. Again, the American public wants these immigrants gone. Black people want these immigrants gone. White people want these immigrants gone. Immigrants want these immigrants gone. You see? They push too far too fast. And this is the same mistake that happened in 1896 with Plessy versus Ferguson. And again, at that time, the federal troops had already been pulled out of the South. You had the rise of the KKK and that brief promise of the Reconstruction where black men voted, held office, and built communities. It was drowned in a wave of angry white backlash. Lynching surged. Jim Crow laws took hold. America was not in the mood to expand rights at that time. It was in the mood to crush them. And when Homer Plessy's case reached the Supreme Court, the court delivered what the country was ready for: separate but equal. And that single ruling gave constitutional cover to segregation, disenfranchisement, and racial terror for more than half a century. The parallels are clear. Today, the political climate is thick with anti-immigrant backlash. Trump campaigned and won on promises of mass deportation. The man won all the swing states. So it's not just about his base, but his base demanded crackdowns. Federal agencies were already moving aggressively. This was not the time to put immigrant rights front and center. You need to push this down the road for about 10 years. This is bad planning, poor common sense. But this is what happened when you have a bunch of lawyers who went to the same law schools like Harvard and Yale and all these schools. They think alike. They are devoid of common sense. Because all they did was, you need a street savvy lawyer at this point, you see? Because like I said, all they did was give Trump and his allies the very thing they wanted: a precedent that blesses racial profiling and law enforcement. Sometimes the fight is not about whether you're right. It's about whether the moment is right, whether timing is right. Plessy taught us that. Civil rights leaders at the time knew they were right, but the court and the country were not ready to admit it. And that miscalculation cost foundational Black Americans nearly 60 years of legalized apartheid. And this case carries the same warning. Immigrant rights lawyers who pushed too darn soon on the wrong battlefield with the wrong court. And the result, they just handed their opponents legal cover and that they were very hungry for. Strategic patience is not cowardice, it's wisdom. If they had waited, if they had let the makeup of the court shift, perhaps the outcome could have been different. Even if they had waited some time until this time period we're in right now, calm down. Instead, they delivered a setback that will echo for years. And just like Plessy, the damage will not be undone quickly. Look, you got two options at this point. We're going to send them home or we're going to lock them up. As I said before, this is Convict Leasing 2.0, updated for the immigration age. If they can't deport you, they will detain you. If they can't detain you, they'll bankrupt you. And if they can't bankrupt you, they will put you to work behind some prison cell. Now, you would think that we as Black Americans would have some, some sympathy for these folks, considering our history with the courts and the police. But our sympathy is no longer automatic. At this point, Black Americans have decided to sit this one out. Okay? Even in the case where they're targeting African and Black Caribbean immigrants. But here's the truth. Black Americans are tired of taking the blame. For decades, every time something goes wrong in America and it's a Black person, nobody asks to check and see if this person is an African or a Caribbean or a foundational Black American. They always blame us. And we are starting to realize that a lot of these crimes being committed, especially in these major cities on the East Coast, are committed by people of African descent, immigrant descent, and they are not even supposed to be here. Okay? And we refuse to carry the reputational burden for people who are not of us, who don't stand with us, and when it matters. Shout out to Reviewing Reviewers Reviews. I'm going to read all the comments when I finish. We just getting warmed up. This is going to be a hot one. See, the immigrant communities love to celebrate their PhDs, their scholars, and their success stories, but they rarely claim their criminals. Case in point, ICE just detained a man named Tajay Romel Williams, a Jamaican national in Maryland, and he's facing pending charges of rape and sexual offenses and assault. Okay, and he was already under final orders of removal, but he's still here, still endangering the communities until ICE picked him up. But see, when the stories break, the media just says Black man. And guess who ends up carrying that stigma? We do. So let's be real. If you come here illegally, the safest option is to go back home because Black people don't feel sorry for you. White people don't feel sorry for you. Other immigrants don't feel sorry for you. And if you refuse to go, then yes, you should be fined. You should be locked up and you should be put to work for the benefit of the American public. We're going to put you in an orange jumpsuit and have you out there picking trash on the freeway. You came here to work, let's work. Shout out to Timothy Bright. And see, Black people, we're not going to keep paying the reputational price for crimes that don't belong to us. We're not keep carrying burdens for people who aren't caring for us. So send them home. And if they refuse, lock them up. Okay? Now, I want to go ahead and share a few videos with you all, and then we're going to get back to the discussion. But I want y'all to kind of see what's going on out here. All right? Let's see if you guys can let me know if you can hear these videos as they begin to play. I want to make sure that we get all the videos in, and I want to make sure you have sound. Let me see if I can pull this sound up real quick. It should be coming up in a minute. All right. Now, I have an assortment of videos. All right. And I want y'all to just start with this one right here. Look at this. Let's check this out.
Aggressively moving to strip some Americans of their citizenship. NPR reports department leadership is directing its attorneys to pursue denaturalization in cases involving naturalized citizens who commit certain crimes and giving U.S. attorneys wider discretion on when to carry out that move.
So basically what he's saying is, you know how people come over here and they swear to be American citizens, and they're going to abide by the law, and they take the test and so on and so forth. Now he's saying not only we're going to strip them of their citizenship. So imagine you became a citizen, you established yourself, you stayed here, and then you committed a crime like drunk driving, etc. And now you're having your citizenship stripped away from you.
It's according to a June 11th memo published online. NPR points out the tactic is aimed at U.S. citizens who were not born in the country. According to 2023 figures, nearly 25 million immigrants are naturalized citizens. Donald Trump and this administration now looking at taking away their citizenship. How do they do that?
Right. So there are legal mechanisms for doing this, although it's used very rarely. Something like 11 people a year have been denaturalized for the last several decades. And this news, Willie, it comes in a relatively innocuous memo entitled Civil Division Priorities for the Justice Department. And the sense you take away from this memo is that this will now become sort of a performative evaluation where U.S. attorneys' offices across the country may be, in fact, graded on the speed and the alacrity with which they pursue these denaturalizations. The language is very vague. There are no clear standards for who should be denaturalized. And so we can all imagine cases, for instance, former Nazis who came to the United States and lied about their pursuit of the Holocaust. Those were people who were convicted and denaturalized. But now there's the risk that it could be anyone who runs afoul of this administration, that, for instance, someone who's a
anybody can get it. Y'all better watch what you're saying online. Trump is watching you. Okay? Trump is watching your moves. You understand me? Look what happened to that man that went to, I believe, the school in New York. They tried to get him up out of here. But anyway, keep listening. See if I can get this. Keep playing. Keep listening.
Naturalized citizen maybe who's written a couple of bad checks, that they might become a target. And the real issue here is the lack of specificity and the vagueness over who now qualifies to lose their citizenship.
All of it. All right, let's check out some more. Let's see what else we got to say here. I find this interesting. Like I said, I know my people. And when you really sit up and talk to black people, a lot of black people are 100% right.
You talking about the white motherfuckers that's coming over, that's trying to take over? No, ICE. Immigration Control Enforcement. Them motherfuckers that's trying to come over here and trying to take over. No, they're like taking.
Did she just take a pull? Ma'am, you were doing an interview. You can't be out here taking a pull. But go ahead. She's 100. Most of y'all feel just like she does, and everybody knows somebody just like her. Keep listening.
Foreigners out our country.
Yeah. Good. You
Good.
think what do you mean good? They don't need to be here. You don't think that the illegal Mexicans should be here? No, just like they give us problems when we go to their country, we give them problems when they come to us.
Look, and she's standing right in front of the Mexican food place. She don't care at all. But she said some real stuff. Just like they give us a hard time when we go to their countries, we give them a hard time when they come to ours. This is how most black people really feel. Okay, so you're not going to find that sympathy. Most black, other than those elites who are in places like DC and, in these elite colleges and on the East Coast and the West Coast, this is how the average everyday black person feels about illegal immigrants. And walked off. He walked right off. Just got up out of there.
How do you?
Let's keep listening. Let's check this other one out. Check that out. Look at this. Now, remember what I told you guys? You better watch how you talking. This is a black illegal immigrant. This is a black immigrant from Colombia, and they are snatching her out the car. I want y'all to watch this weave hit the ground. Look at the weave hit the ground. They snatching out feet first. Look at that. Look how they got it. Weave fell off. The wig fell off, man. The wig fell off, man. I mean, golly, man, damn. Let's look at that again. Don't nobody laugh. Don't nobody laugh at this. Okay. Don't nobody laugh at this Colombian queen getting snatched out of this car. Now, she was talking stuff on the internet about Trump and so on and so forth. Look. The two-handed, and she's screaming like a stuck pig. Wig on the ground. Look at the wig. Phones falling down. Look at that. Got it snatched up, man. They are getting them up out of here, man. There you.
Espérate, no.
Yes.
No, güey. No, espérate. Espérate, me voy a dejar, pero espérate.
Espérate means you stop. He's not going to stop, baby. No, espérate. No. Vámonos. We go. Adios.
Me voy a dejar, pero espérate.
No.
Espérate, me voy a dejar, pero espérate. Me voy a dejar, pero espérate.
No. Wait. She says, espérate. That means wait. It don't mean stop, it means wait. Halt. You gotta go. Boy, down there, that's somewhere in LA, down there, Temple Street, downtown. Look at that. Boy, they are teamed up on you. She's calling out, You can't be speaking Spanish to the ICE agent when he suspects you of being an illegal immigrant. You gotta speak English. Stop now. You gotta put your please. Yeah, that didn't work well for you, baby. It's all right. Colombia is a beautiful country. I'm sure the passport brothers will be coming down and hang out with. Let's see what else we got here. Look at this. Boom. Let's check them out.
Leaving India. And now I have left.
This little white fella right here, he's from London. He's hanging out in India, right?
India. Time for my final review. Don't go that place. Stay far, far away from India.
Yeah,
never go there.
You know why I'm so coming over here.
Never go there. I will never ever go there. Ever again. They want you there. You know one tourist.
No.
Yes.
No.
This is more California. See that? They're giving California the blues. Look at that.
Hey,
Look at
wait.
The Supreme Court said you can do all that.
Policías de mierda, así nos tratan.
They call him, he's cussing pinche mierda. That means like, it's a really bad thing. Effing poopy person. That's what
Así
it
nos
says.
tratan. Miren, no. Hijos de su puta madre. Hijos de su puta madre. Pinches vendidos. Son unos pinches vendidos. Son unos putos vendidos. Son unos.
We don't take pleasure in none of this.
Pinches vendidos.
Let me tell you, my foundational Black American brothers and sisters, we don't take pleasure in this. We don't cherish or relish in other people's pain. We are kind, beautiful people. We are loving and understanding. Okay. But I think this is a good time to remind my Latino brother and sister, especially those of you all who are a bit on the racist side, about your anti-Black racism. I think this is a good time to discuss blanqueamiento, which means whitening the race. It's a good time to discuss your Black abuela, la negra, who you all hide, okay, because you're ashamed. This is a good time. So when you all are asking us dark people, us Black people, for us los negros, prietos, for our sympathy, I want to remind you of your racism at this point. As we look at, it's just something to talk about. I think this is a perfect time as you all are suffering and you're lashing out and you're looking for help. And I think it's a good time to discuss your racism. I think it's a great time. It's also a good time to discuss your anti-indigenous racism directed towards the indigenous people of Mexico, okay, of Colombia. Those little short dark people with the little slope back heads is real short that y'all pretend aren't there, I think it's a good time to discuss that. We'll continue watching, okay? All right? But it's a good time. Yes.
A nosotros son los que nos tienen que proteger. ¿Vieron que de la nada empezaron a tirarnos?
Yeah.
Vean, ya se llevan a la muchacha. ¿Por qué se la llevan si es una niña? No mames.
The children, you suck. I know.
You need to protect us.
Now look, he telling the LAPD, you need to protect us, and LAPD like, no, we don't. we not catching a federal charge for you, homeboy. Okay, that's not what we doing. You need to protect us. Who you gonna get the federal? That's like asking a dog to protect you from other members of his little dog pack. They're all on the same team. Okay?
You need to protect us.
No.
You need to protect us. Pinches cazarrecompensas, cabrones.
That's in a lot.
Pinches recompensas.
Yeah.
Vean, no mames, ya se llevaron a la muchacha.
Again, this is a good time to discuss this anti-Black racism that is rampant in the Latino community. They're even racist towards Latinos who are Black or brown. Okay, so let's keep that conversation going. Let's keep watching.
¿Qué pedo acá?
Yeah, they just came in there.
Fuck you.
Y'all gonna catch a charge. You better not throw anything at those vehicles. Okay, stop resisting. Remember what they tell us? Stop resisting.
Miren cómo nos tratan.
Stop resisting. Let's listen to what somebody else has to say.
And families of illegal immigrants. You have nobody to blame for your situation.
Now, clearly, she is an immigrant. Okay, I can hear the accent. Okay, so you got immigrants trying to put other immigrants out. I just want you to listen to that. I can tell by the gap in her teeth, okay, and that forehead that she is covering up, that she is an immigrant. Let's keep listening to this young lady.
The parties involved that you need to be taking your beef up with are the Democratic Party. Oh, yes. They're the ones that allowed you to come into this country illegally, not knowing that you guys.
And why do you come to our country and get so heavily involved into our politics? Look, at some point, I plan to retire somewhere to a country somewhere. I'm not getting involved in none of them people's politics. I'm going to be there for the beach and the food. Why do y'all get so involved in Black American politics? And why do y'all do that? Okay, and why are you hiding your forehead? Okay, why are you hiding your forehead? Look, I voted for Donald Trump, but you're not going to have me out here with a Trump flag wearing a goddamn Make America Great hat again. I'm not doing that. I voted because I voted my interest. I'm concerned about my wallet. I'm used to dealing with racism. My people have been dealing with racism for 500 years. Racism is not my problem. You know what we want? We want our money, okay? We can deal with racism. Our culture is built to deal with racism. That's why I voted for Trump. I don't give a damn, okay? Now, the bottom line is, ma'am, why are you so heavy into our politics? But let's keep
as were used as political pawns for their game. They allowed you to cross the border unvetted.
Did you cross the border? Did you cross the border? Because it sounds to me like you crossed the border, ma'am. I'm listening to you, okay? And the way the brim is crooked on that hat, it looks like your forehead is so big, okay, that it's throwing off the fit of that hat. Did you cross the border? You talking about these other immigrants. Did you cross the border? Let's keep listening. Go ahead.
They gave you access to all the resources that were meant for citizens.
Oh, and are you a citizen? Are you a citizen? You aggravating me, okay? The idea that you would be telling you one of them, we want you gone too. You don't know that? We tired of y'all taking our little jobs, coming over here faking. All these British actors to come in and take these. You got a black man from somewhere in London playing Martin Luther King, and you got another black woman from somewhere over there playing Harriet Tubman. Y'all couldn't find some black folks in Georgia to play them parts? Mississippi, Alabama, they don't have any actors at the Martin Luther King High School in Alabama somewhere? You telling me?
Honestly, they gave you a false sense of hope.
Who was they?
They got you believing that it was okay for you to just come here freely.
That's what you thought. You thought that too. That's why you're here with your MAGA hat on. Get out of here.
Illegally, without any repercussions. So don't blame Trump about this. And don't take it up with Tom Homan. You have to take that shit up with the...
You watch your language too. You don't. You first one to say some fraud, cuss word. You watch your cussing, ma'am. We're gonna get you denaturalized for cussing on the internet. Okay?
Democratic Party.
With your little gap teeth. Look.
That is the reason why all...
You just came over here straight Republican, huh? You don't even know what they're about.
Of your illegal family members are in a crisis right now.
What about your illegal family members? What about your illegal family? Ooh.
That's why they're getting separated from their families and they're facing deportation, is because the Democratic Party allowed this to happen.
No, it's because we're tired of you. That's what it is. We're tired of you, ma'am. Go on back to London or wherever you came from and get involved in that. You need to go talk to the Home Office and get on back over there. That's what you need to do. Why are you over here telling us with your MAGA hat on?
So that's the beef that you need to take it up with, not Trump. He's trying to enforce the law. He's trying to get things right. He's trying to...
Somebody put the DHS ICE hotline in the chat room.
Rectify the border crisis that we've had for over 4 years. And he's doing a damn good job at that. So if you want to get angry at anybody, get mad at the Democrat Party.
We're mad at you.
Because they're the ones that allowed this shit to happen.
That's the second cuss word you said.
You guys are so much drawn into your Trump deranged syndrome and so stupid to see that.
Maybe Trump, he don't like you either. He don't like you either.
That you will use any chance and any opportunity to blame Trump for all your fuck-ups. I said what I said.
Yeah, okay, you out here. I said what I said. Look at it. See what I'm saying? The irony. She the one we talking about. Okay? Now check this one out. Look at this.
The undocumented workers would come into the office in groups. They would provide them either permits or driver's license illegally. So they were bypassed without even taking the test.
How much?
$200 a person.
Up to
So they giving out free driver's license to these people.
5 times a day, she says.
Is this an everyday thing?
Almost, yes.
I first reported on the driver's license fraud investigation in April after getting my hands on one of the state's revocation letters. We learned the transportation cabinet sent more than 1,500 of them in 5 months, telling drivers their license was issued in air and must be returned or they could be criminally charged. At the time, state officials confirmed at least 2 terminations, and ongoing state and federal investigations focused on the NIA Center in West Louisville and the E-Town license branch.
So they're out there giving out driver's licenses to these folk. These folk don't even drive on our side of the street. Okay? They giving them driver's license. They're on the road right now. You see what happened to the truck driver that unalived? These are not just Class C truck drivers. They giving out trucking licenses to these people for $200. And they're out there cracking and running in the back of people and hurting American citizens and drunk driving and all kinds of stuff. Okay? They're just giving them licenses, right?
But they denied all of our records requests, withholding 2,300 documents on the fraud. Mormon's story fills in the blanks.
I found out it may have been going on for a couple of years before it was found out.
We're told it wasn't as simple as people getting state-issued driver's license or permission.
She said they were giving out 5 a day for a couple of years. Think about that.
Admits without taking the test. She says 2 of her colleagues at the NIA Center approached her with a business venture, asking if she wanted to get in on the scheme.
I was asked to bring certain customers in, and they are brought in to me without signing in. And you would scan their documents as usual.
Documents made to look legitimate, like birth certificates and social security cards, according to the letter she wrote to the state. But a key to pulling off this scheme was making sure the required Homeland Security screening was never run.
I start getting these emails saying, are you doing this? Are you doing this? Are you doing this?
And that's where it unraveled. She says those workers were using her login, a password she says her bosses made her share, as all workers at the driver's license branch did not have their own.
I ain't going to jail with none of y'all. I'm going to tell it. She's snitching and telling. She said, that's right, baby. Don't let
Mormon was training to be.
You know what I'm saying? This was going on. All this needed to come to an end. All of this need to come to an end. And you wonder why we are where we are right now. All of this needed to come to an end, family. Okay? Let's keep looking. Let's keep looking some more.
Unfairly targeted for deportation because of his activism. But he also has a criminal history, including a conviction for theft.
So are you being targeted because of your activism? Are you being targeted because you had a string of carjackings? Huh? And one of them with a Tyler on the inside. I mean, we need to understand, sir. You being targeted because of your activism or because you're out there allegedly carjacking people, okay?
Having a rival gang member in 2013.
To be honest, according to the conversations that I've had with immigration officers, we're all criminals to them just because we weren't born here.
No, sir, you are allegedly a criminal because of carjacking and being associated with a street gang, sir. Your activism is secondary. You clearly weren't always an activist. Clearly you were doing some other things, sir. That's what's going on. That's what ICE is. Let's go ahead and tell the whole truth, the complete story.
But you do have a record. Yeah, but just like I do have a record as a juvenile.
The judge granted Reyes a temporary.
Sir, you have a record as a juvenile. You just got here as a juvenile, so you came up here like that. You came up here like that, associated with the street gang, huh? And out here carjacking folk. You understand what I'm saying? And now you wondering why you being detained. It's a lot more like you.
Reprieve, but this past Sunday he was back in custody, accused of several new crimes.
New crimes. So you on the internet, you on TV, being an activist, while simultaneously, and for everybody who doesn't know that word, that means at the same time. So you are activists on TV, and at the same time, okay, at the same time you out here allegedly committing more heinous acts. You got to go. You got to go, sir. You got
Police say the bizarre string of incidents started here when Guillermo Reyes called 911 to report a possible break-in. Officers arrived to find a broken window and found Reyes with a bloody hand. They took some information and left. 4 hours later, someone at this cafe called 911 for medical help.
Initially, I called in as a medical for a male breathing heavily, but now possibly a fentanyl overdose. Braids, no shirt, tattooed.
Police soon learned about a string of carjacking incidents. One happened here at this bakery, where the 3-year-old was in the backseat of a car, but Reyes was unable to get away because he didn't have the keys. And here at this gas station.
You doing all this out here, and you got the nerve to be on TV, being an activist, sir. Somebody put the DHS ICE hotline in the chat room. We need to keep
where the 70-year-old victim was able to douse Reyes with gasoline.
A 70-year-old victim doused this activist with gasoline, okay, with the baby in the back, trying to save his baby. That's his little grandbaby, okay, and you out here trying to take
before she was knocked down. And then down the block, where a big rig Reyes was driving stalled before he could get away.
So and you're just unlucky. You get doused with gasoline by a 70-year-old woman who's trying to protect the grandbaby. And why are you out here carjacking allegedly people in a big rig, sir? Okay, I'm just saying. It sounds unlucky to me. You
detained here and narcotics deployed.
You gotta get you on up out of here, baby. You gotta ease on back. You gotta get on back to where you were at. Okay, let's keep listening and looking.
Missouri is finding out the hard way. James Brown is a Navy veteran in Missouri. He voted for Trump thinking he was supporting tough immigration enforcement going after criminals. But not people like his wife. His wife, Donna Hughes Brown, has been a legal permanent resident for over 37 years. She immigrated from England when she was 11, raised 4 kids here, has 5 grandkids, and regularly volunteers in her community.
You got to go on back to England, baby. You got to get on back up out of here now. You didn't get your papers right after all these years, Grandma, Meemaw.
Running food pantries, helping single moms, and she even helps organize hurricane relief drives.
You got to go.
But none of that mattered. She was detained by federal agents at O'Hare Airport after a vacation in Ireland. All because of a...
So you went to Ireland to vacation, and you thought you was going to ease on back over here with your grandma's self, right? They're not looking for me. No, you got to go too. Okay, we Americans want all of you foreigners to get up out of here. All you foreigners, somebody spell foreigner in the chat. We want all you foreigners to get on up out of here. Okay, we're trying to make America great again. All right, and we can't do it with all y'all. I don't care if you're white, black, brown, whatever you are. Okay, you got to go. Go on, Grandma.
A misdemeanor in 2015. She was held for 5 days in Chicago, then transferred to a Kentucky detention center.
So Grandma out here committing misdemeanors. Oh, that's what's going on. You out here committing misdemeanors, Grandma, in 2008. Okay, so you out here cutting up. You got to go.
Her bond hearing was delayed, and when it finally happened, DHS lawyers said the new laws meant that the judge couldn't release her. She was denied bond again on August 26th. Now she has no future court date. If deported, she's banned from returning for 10 years. And of course, James now says that he regrets his Trump vote 100.
Wait, hold on a minute now, James. Now, for you all who didn't hear, he's from Missouri, and Missouri is the most northern southern state. Okay, Missouri, the Missouri-Kansas Compromise, they want to be a slave state. Look, there's a lot of racist people in Missouri. I'm just saying. And he got up there on the racist bandwagon up there, and you got a whole illegal wife out here from the UK, and you out here voting for Trump. You didn't think it was going to be you and your wife, Mrs. Brown, got to go. Grandma is going back to England.
100%. Okay? James is probably thinking, well, I didn't think it was going to be my wife getting the...
I don't think the accent's going to be like that. Okay, I don't think it's I think Missouri's more like that, a little bit more of a slower drawl, in my opinion.
Deported? What the heck? James says the administration isn't targeting the worst first. We've been talking...
No, we're getting them all up out of here. If you're not a real American, we want you gone. You got to go, okay? You got to get on up out of here.
You guys that since the beginning, but you don't listen. Trump made it more than clear that lawful immigrants with minor infractions were fair game. James must really hate his wife to vote for the guy that's kicking his wife out of the country. And now that James is getting what he voted for, his wife has to pay the price.
Well, hey, man, got to go. Let's keep listening. Now, here's the thing. Let's keep listening to this. Just again, I think it's a good time to talk.
Southern California, that progressive place where they love to call everybody else ignorant and racist while leading this nation.
Now, again, you all want sympathy from black people, all my Latino family. I want you to listen to me. This is the time we need to talk about. Okay, we're going to talk about blanqueamiento. We're going to talk about mejor la raza, bettering the race. We're going to talk about your anti-black Latino racism. This is a good time to talk about it because, see, for decades now, there's been a lot of Latino gangs who have been targeting black folk, innocent black people who aren't bothering you. Okay, whether we talk about in the penitentiary or in the free world. So we know what you do when you get a bunch of y'all together. Y'all start being racist. Okay, so let's talk. Let the brother talk about race. Since we talk about what's fair and what's not fair, and how black people need to help out, Black Brown Coalition. Let's talk about this racism thing. Okay, let's keep talking.
In hate crimes. Now, when I seen this post, I didn't even have to read the article to know who it was against, because let's be real, who else would it be? I mean, these people really seem to not hate anybody else, which is crazy work, because even the Klan don't just hate us. But yeah.
My man said all the Mexicans do is seem to hate black people. At least the Klan hate everybody. Damn, all the Mexicans do is hate. They love white folk and everybody else. Just keep listening.
This is how the story went. 2 suspects were arrested in connection with hate crime incidents targeting black victims in San Bernardino County. The suspects were identified as Michael Razzo, 22, of Highland, and Humberto Silva, 24, of Colton. According to the Fontana Police Department, officers have been working with the Fontana Sheriff Station for several months to investigate the incidents. Really? Several months? Like, seriously. And shout out to my Hispanic fans. You know, I understand the fact that not all of y'all is like this, but California is not a real place, y'all. California is not real. In each case, the pair allegedly targeted homeless victims at bus stops. They would pull up in a blue Chevrolet Silverado truck and shoot at the victims with a paintball gun while screaming racial slurs. In several incidents, the victims were injured, police said. Yep, that's what they got going on in California, y'all, right there. That's what they doing out there. And even weirder, California blacks, many of them act as if this isn't like a reoccurring thing, like it's a family secret. Just, Mom, Uncle Wayne touch me. No, he didn't. And don't you ever say that again.
What's going on? Yeah, that's what's going on. Let's keep listening to brothers on some more stuff.
Wake-up calls can be when they come from the motherland. Mommy! It just makes it that much nastier. Check this out.
My experience became more of an experience of prejudice.
Now, I want all you black people, my foundational Black American family. You know, we typically have blind black unity. Okay, in other words, if you black, we down with you. But I want you to just understand that that's not how everybody in the world thinks. The rest of the folks don't treat us with any sort of deference just because we're black. All right. And what happened was you got a lot of black people who went back to Africa and places like Ghana and so on and so forth to, you know, relocate and get away from the racism in America. And they ran into their own racism over there, unique to Africa. Listen to this.
And discrimination. I know you're probably like, how? And it's like I went from one experience of prejudice and discrimination to another.
So how are we home if we got to pay y'all? Why aren't the visas free? If this is home, why don't you make this visa free for us? If this is home, why do we have to pay to be a resident? If this is home, why isn't our citizenship automatically given to us?
Oh, so what they be thinking is that they gonna get the same red carpet treatment over there as we give our immigrants here. Newsflash! That's not really normal outside of the United States or other European countries. Therefore, you're gonna get your ninja wake-up call. Why do you think the Prince of Pan-Africanism himself, who has citizenship in Ghana, hasn't up and left? And he's here in the United States panhandling with his beard grown out to his chest with bits of trash and birds laying eggs in it and shit.
Yeah, like I said, we don't owe anybody anything, brothers and sisters. I want you all to just keep on listening, keep on watching. Let's check a couple more of these videos out, and we're gonna ease on into you know, we're gonna push it. I want you to check this out too, since we talk about foreigners who are racist.
It is Afro-Palestinians live.
Now, sometime this week, I'm gonna talk about the Arab slave trade, and I'm gonna talk about just how racist Arabs are and how they have been traditionally racist towards black people. Now, many of you all over the past years got caught up into this Palestinian-Israel fight. But we have a great historian who's gone on to be with the ancestors. His name is Dr. John Henry Clark, and he is quoted as saying, "We have no friends." Okay. Now, many of y'all jumped on the bandwagon and y'all say, "Oh yeah, the Israelis are bad. We're gonna support the Palestinians." Listen to this lady tell you how Black Palestinians are treated in Palestine. Okay, this place is supposed to be so oppressed and so subjugated by racist Jewish folk. I want you to hear how these folk are racist towards Black people who are over there. Listen.
It is Afro-Palestinians live. It is called Al Abib. You know what that means? Slave.
You know, this smart, beautiful Black woman is correct. Where are the campus protests for the 11,000 Black slaves in Palestinian neighborhoods? Nowhere. In the Middle East, Black people are openly called Abid. That literally means slaves. Yeah. It doesn't stop there. Even the Arab-owned stores in the United States openly still use the word when talking about African Americans. Look at this candy. Do you know what that says in Arabic? Ras al-Bidid. It translates to head of the slave.
In other words, you know how back in the 1920s they had something called N-word head candy? They got that's what that is. They had that N-word head candy over here. This is what these folk are actively racist. Keep listening.
It's actually a popular chocolate for Arab buyers in the Middle East, and it's still actually getting sold under that name. If you go on eBay right now, you'll see it. Fact check me. They're not hiding the racism.
You just don't understand what they're saying. Y'all want to rush off to go to Dubai. I ain't going to hell with Dubai. I'm not going over there. For what?
Slavery is a cultural norm. And nobody in those protests seems to care because there's no Jews.
Right. You keep talking about the Latinos and how racist they are, and you're bypassing the Arabs where you get your 40 ounces from. Okay, that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Now here, just in case you didn't believe her, I got another one for you. Check this out.
Abroad, majority of cities, Black people cannot live in a normal cities. They have to live in a segregated city called Abid Town, which is interpreted to slave town. They have multiple candies.
Habib Town. That's like Martin Luther King. Okay, Habib Town is like Martin Luther King, where the Popeyes chicken is. Okay, anytime you go to Martin Luther King and there's a Popeye chicken, there's some Black people there. Habib Town is where the Black people live in any Arab country. Do you hear what these people are telling you? And y'all worried about these folk getting deported and sent home? They don't even like you. They don't like you to the core of your being. I'm gonna let this lady run that back again.
They have to live in a segregated city called Abid Town, which is interpreted to slave town. They have multiple candies they call slave candy, and you see like a face of a Black man and they eat it and they call it a slave candy. They don't know the level of racism, and you hear people saying the word Zionist without even.
You out here crashing out for these folk. These folk, they don't even like you. You out here crashing out for these Palestinian folk and whatnot. They don't even like you. They're invoking, oh, we need the Black people to come help us stop Donald Trump from deporting us. They don't even like you. I'm sure it's some folks right now in some of these different states and enclaves where you have a lot of these folk. They'll tell you, yeah, they treat you horrible. Anytime they cool with you till they get some numbers. Shout out to Timothy Bright.
And understanding what that means, you know, like everybody throw the word Zionist. The Fresh and Fit Myron a clip yesterday about talking about Hitler and everything.
Oh, I heard about it. I didn't see it.
With a Black girl, and she said, "Oh, the Jews did something wrong, and Hitler should unalive them and finish the job and everything." It's like I would come to America and say, "Oh, slavery, they should lynch all the Black people. They should kill all of them." Hitler was killing Black people too. Remember?
Yeah, he was killing Black people. Look up Shark Island. They perfected it at Shark Island. Okay, look up Shark Island, the Yahtzee party in Shark Island, and they perfected what they did.
And to see Myron sitting there and talking like that, and it seemed to me like he's a parrot after Candace Owen, Andrew Tate, and Kanye West. Everything they say, he go and he would rephrase it and say it in a stupid way.
Stupid way. Stop being fools, Black folks. Stop being fools for these people, man. These folk don't like you like that. Stop trying to be liked all the time. Y'all need to cut that out. It's sad. But let's keep on listening. And let's get back on the Latino.
Can we talk about the PDF files that we have in our own families?
This is a Latino woman telling you all about the PDF files. The PDF files that they have in the Latino community. Okay? These are the folk that's coming. This is them telling it. Okay? This is them telling. I ain't saying nothing. All you Latinos, we know, look, black women are loud. And they tell all our business. Okay? That's what they do. They tell all our business, and they've been able to do that. Okay? But now, these other women from other races are getting their freedom, and now they starting to tell other men's business. White women are telling on white men. Latino women are telling on Latino men. Okay? Asian women are snitching and telling on Asian men. Listen to what she's saying is going on culturally in the Latino community. Folk that we bringing up here, we just open the floodgate, let them come on, walk up through Texas and Arizona, okay, and New Mexico and California. They just walking on up here.
Uncles,
listen,
our dads, the one Theo that hugs you a little too hard, the one Theo that puts his hand a little too low. Because yeah, we have DO Mexicans, but we also have PDFs like no other. And you know what happens when we try to tell people about those PDFs? PDF files? They get defended. The women stand 10 toes down. The moms, the grandmas, the aunts, all of them. They stand 10 toes down with them.
The little girls just get, you want to watch some of these little Latino girls start having babies at 13, 14 years old? Huh? Now you wonder, where did they start off? Right? That they feel so comfortable going out getting married at such a young age. This is the culture that we letting up here. Understand that. Okay? All these superior cultures out here that you all is protecting and you got a problem. Look, lock them up and send them home. Okay?
It was your fault. You did it. You shouldn't have been wearing that. You're lying. That's not true. And then the young girls, the cousins, the sisters end up talking and finding out later, years down the line, that they went through the same torture. They went through the same trauma. Talk about that. Expose that.
Yeah. This is what you're bringing up here. This is what you're bringing on up here. We gonna get to work in a minute. I got some more work to do, but you know, and it's not just in our country that these folks are cutting up. Listen, look at this. This is in Italy. This is an African immigrant. He just decided to walk in the middle of the street and he's swinging on the police. The police look at the police like, well, okay, whoop, sweep, take down. So these folk are cutting up everywhere. Remember, oftentimes what we're getting are the people who don't do well in their own country. So they flee their own countries and they come up here to our country or different countries that after we get it all laid out, they come up here. So we're not getting the best of the best. And that's why this cat said what he had to say.
White people, the founding fathers of this country, were of the same uniform.
Now look, this dude right here, Frank Zamu, I'm gonna talk about him real good later on this week. Listen to this man. Listen to his clearly he has some nocturnal trash rating animal tendencies. Okay? Nocturnal trash rating animal tendencies in him. Let's keep listening.
You talk about white people, the founding fathers of this country were of the same uniform background. WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. They have a culture, a religion, a language, a history, and they want to protect it. This is the home of their children. This is what they build for their children. And you came in as a guest. The guest.
No, you came as a guest. We've been here. Foundational Black Americans have been here. You came here as a guest, sir. Don't say you came here as a guest. You're a guest. I am not a guest. Okay? I am not a guest. My people have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. You, sir, are a guest. Okay? Keep that in mind.
Will never take over a house. Never happened. Number two.
We built the house. Matter of fact, my ancestors predate Most of the white folk that have come here in 1908 through Ellis Island, my people been here. Keep that in mind. Sir.
I really would support the white man, okay, for the dispossession of white, as he's saying, because you see, he's trying to protect you and I.
He is not trying to protect you, okay? He wants to get your black behind out of here, okay? I want you to understand that. You will be the first one headed back if possible, okay? All this nocturnal behavior, okay? This nocturnal trash raiding behavior.
Because if this country falls into the hands, the majority of the wrong people, what
you are the wrong people. You
ever attracts us to come here will be gone, and we will never be able to come here.
Never attract us to be more people like me come here. I want to be here. That's why I left my home country. You, sir, are just who we talking about. We got to get you up out of here too. Okay?
So you're saying that immigrants wouldn't be able to sustain America or sustain civilization?
We talk about all you folk who fled from your country to come over here. Shout out to Penny Ford. What's up, baby? I'm gonna read all the super chats later. Listen to
that
this.
What you're saying? That we don't have the capacity to do
well,
that?
I'm not saying it. I'm only describing it. Have you taken a look at Haiti recently? Would you, even as an immigrant here, want Haiti to become the majority in this country?
I mean, Haiti,
have you taken a look at some of the African
has
countries, Somalia, Sudan, South Sudan, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all?
Somalia, South Sudan. Go, that where you from, over them places. Go back there. Going back over
all these countries that are flopping to come to.
I just want you all to keep in mind, this is what Africans are saying about Africa. And you all are romanticizing. If you could take your black butt over there if you want to. You're going back to Africa.
If they could maintain where they are to look like this place, then they wouldn't be flocking here, right? So the point the gentleman is making actually is in my interest, in the interest of people from outside who should still have an America they can come to.
My man said he looked one... Bro, you ignorant, bro. Don't say those things about this brother. We are not going to be here talking about this brother's color. He looked 1 minute. He looked like 1 minute after midnight. How dare you come in here with your colorism, sir? You next thing, you're going to be cracking light-skinned jokes. We don't do that here, okay? We preach unity as best we can on this page. You will not talk about that brother's darkness. Now, we could talk about his head. You got an egg head. You definitely got a hook head. But we're not going to sit up here and talk about the brother's color like that, sir. We love our color, sir. Anyway, let's get him up out of here. But yeah, look, a lot of Africans talk about other Africans and talk about that. We don't want them to come here. Okay, we don't want them to come here. They will ruin the country. We don't. That's what he's saying. Okay. And just so you, just in case.
Classmates that were African, Nigerian, Kenyan, Zimbabwe, and the professor one time called one of them black, and they almost lost their shit. They're like, I'm not black.
Really?
They black as hell. Okay, they black as hell, but they don't want to be associated with black Americans. You understand me? They don't want to be associated with black Americans so bad that if you call them black, they will be offended. Okay, let's let this run back again. I want you to hear it again. This is what the little Indian fella is saying.
I had a lot of classmates that were African, Nigerian, Kenyan, Zimbabwe, and the professor one time called one of them black, and they almost lost their shit. They're like, I'm not black.
Really?
100%. They treated it like if it was a dirty word, like them being called black was a dirty word. I'm not black. I'm from Nigeria. I'm not black. Like offended, and
I'm not. In other words, I'm not foundational black American. This is how. So we don't feel sorry.
And I sat there and I'm like, what the fuck, like that?
What the fuck is going
She's
on?
fucking crashing out over this, and then it dawned on me: Africans, even they are racist against black people in America.
Just like
they are racist against foundational black Americans while they sit and enjoy the umbrella of freedom that we have provided. Now, I just want you all to understand. Didn't I just talk about that case where these folk have single-handedly undone all the good work that we did? The Asian people fought against Harvard and decided that they wanted to undo affirmative action, something we fought for. And now the Latinos and their little lawyers and whatnot have gone up to the Supreme Court and have undone the ban against racial profiling. You all are not doing a good job. You all are not doing a good job of upholding all of the success that black Americans have accomplished. You all have failed. So thus far, we decided to sit down. Okay, what month is this? September. We have sat down for 7 months, and you all have had a chance to stand up and do what we did, and you're failing miserably. Okay, we would have brought this to an end by now if it was us. This would be over by now. Okay, but you all and your tactics, you fail. You're failing miserably. Now you're getting a chance to see what we had to deal with, and you finally have a chance to show us what you're made out of, and you're not able to do what we did. It's sad. You're sad. All you colored folk, what do they call them? People of color. All you people of color out there, because I'm black. I'm a foundational black American, but you people of color are failing miserably. Your families are getting torn apart. You're getting deported. You're getting fined. Your homes are getting took. Okay, look, I'm just saying. This is what I see. I'm here to speak the truth. Somebody typed the Blizzard King in the chat. They taking your money. They sending you home. I'm just saying.
They call this colorism in Mexico.
Isn't
I
that
just
fucking
posted.
crazy?
Hey, that's what it is, baby. I'm trying to tell you. We have no friends. Understand me? Now, this got a lot of good stuff out here, but let's see what else we got out here, man. I ain't got a whole lot more. Yeah. Let's see, we got one or two more. Let's see what this one is here. That's who you protect.
Watch it. Watch it.
No, bro.
Ponle la verga con tu mismo tú, te vas a tirar verga, loco.
Give me the stick, bro.
Look at this.
Break the window.
No, he is.
He's trying to break in the car with the people looking at him.
Cuidado. Cuidado.
Cuidado. I'm just saying.
Aquí tiene la niña.
How you let your stick get taken? How you go up in with a stick? He take your stick? Sad. Listen.
Police are on their way, bro.
He's going up the set. You see that? He don't care about that. They come up here like this. This man came up here, gangbanging, throwing up the set and took your stick. The police are on the way, bro. Not the bro. The Buddha. You let him run. Look at this cat. Now you won't kick him when you're on the ground. Boy, this is who we protecting. Ooh. This is who Joe Biden let up here. Y'all can't take 140 pounds, Venezuelans down. That's what you can do on the other side.
Hey, I'm calling the police.
Call the fucking cops.
Leave him alone. Let me leave him alone. Crazy as a bag of wet cats. Look at this dude. These are the doctors and lawyers and scholars that they let come up here. This is who we protected. Right? This is who they brought up here. This is who the Democrats brought up here to protect help them get Okay, we can't play that. I ain't trying to get my channel. I got one more video, and we're gonna get back down to the nitty-gritty. It's time, it's learning time. All right, it's gonna be learning time in a minute. It's time to get to it.
Homeland Security, we have a search warrant for the whole site.
Oh yeah.
We need construction to cease immediately.
This is down in Georgia. They got 450 of them. Look at that. Look at that. Shout out to Urban Eagle. Keep listening.
We need all work to end on the site right now.
All work to end. All of them lined up. 450. Ooh. Now you know they charge. You get $750 per person that you turn in. Somebody add 450 times $750. If you had made, I got the lady. Let me see something. Let me look at this. Look at this. I got the video of the lady who turned them in. Let me see. This is her right here.
52 illegals
Look.
apprehended at the Hyundai
That's-
plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE.
Snitching and
But
telling.
it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left. They live in homes 5 families deep, have no quality of life. Modern day slavery. So if you think that ICE is just going in and ripping people out of their jobs, these hardworking people that want a better life, well, guess what? Politicians have really screwed these people because when they came here, they thought they were, hey, the border's open.
Shout out to James Harper.
Get the 5-star treatment, and we can go to the.
They did get the 5-star treatment. Wasn't they giving these people $15,000 or something in food stamps and whatnot?
Conditions, very inhumane.
She snitched on them.
Started a humanitarian crisis. So y'all can't just look at it like they're ripping good people off the job. They're probably saving their lives in the long run.
She carrying them. She
452
look,
illegals apprehended at
look,
the
listen.
construction site.
Look at her little smile.
Near Savannah. And I was the one that reported.
I was the one that reported them. Snitching and telling. Well, anyway, family. Send them immigrants home or lock them up. That's what we're talking about tonight. Okay. Again, let me rehash something. Okay. I'm talking to foundational Black Americans, and these people are not in a position to lecture us on anything. They are not in a position to tell us that we shouldn't feel a certain type of way about all these folk up here because they do the same thing in their country. Okay? Let me let y'all see something real quick. I got one more little video. This is just so you know. Okay? This is another little video. This is down in the Dominican Republic. They are literally running up on these Haitians in the middle of the night, snatching them out their houses and rounding them up and sending them home. I don't know if y'all can hear the sound or not, but it's really, you don't need to hear the sound. You can see it for yourself. See that? They're running in there, snatching these folks out. They're doing the same thing in their country that we're doing in our country. So I don't want to hear these folks complaining about none of that. All right. Now, that being the case, I want to being targeted is nothing new for these immigrants. The very same Black and brown immigrants who cry foul in America have their own systems of exclusion and discrimination back home, whether we're talking about Haitians or targeted by Dominicans, right? On the island they share, Jamaicans look down on Haitians and Bajans and Bahamians have long targeted each other. And in Latin America, Mexicans have no problem targeting Guatemalans and Central Americans who cross their border. They just had a protest down there because they wanted to send them home. Matter of fact, they are rioting against Americans. They don't even want Americans there because they're running up the price. So let's not pretend that what's happening here in America is some strange new American invention. If sending people home because they don't belong is racism in the United States, then it's racism in their home countries too. If border enforcement here is unjust, then so is the way they treat their neighbors back home. That's why they're in no position to lecture us. They can't point the finger at America while practicing the same or worse forms of exclusion in their own societies. At least here, there's a legal process, a constitution, and a fight over rights. Back home, it's often raw tribalism, it's classism and colorism, and no due process and no protection. So when they say, or when I say, send them home, we're not inventing anything new. We're simply doing what every other nation does when faced with outsiders who overstay their welcome. And if they don't like it, they can direct their outrage not just at America, but at the countries that they came from. Because the truth is, they've been sending each other home a long time. Now, let's stop pretending this is something new. What we're watching unfold is not a policy shift. It's a resurrection. The federal government is building the machinery to detain millions of undocumented immigrants indefinitely, to lease them out as labor or simply lock them away while taxpayers foot the bill. Does that sound familiar? It should, because this is the second coming of the convict leasing program. Only this time, the faces on black men in chain gangs, fresh out of slavery, all right, locked up on trumped up charges because the America needs its labor force back. Today, it's called undocumented or being illegal immigrants who are being swallowed up by a system designed to extract labor and profit through incarceration. We've seen this movie before. Let me explain it to you. See, after slavery ended in 1865, work still needed to be done. Okay? Okay? They freed us, but then they rewrote the rules and they came up with something called black codes. And it criminalized our very existence. Standing on a corner could get you arrested. Being unemployed could get you arrested. Those weren't crimes, they were excuses. Excuses to put us in jail, strip us of our rights, and auction our labor to railroad companies. Who built the railroads? We did. Who dug the coal out the coal mine? We did. Who was in the brick yards? Sent us back to the plantations because we were loitering. And this is why black folks will tell you our blood built this country. Our backs, our brawn built this country. America got rich. Now, if you want to fast forward to the 1994 crime bill, 2 million black men locked down, unfairly targeted. And it was at its height in 2008. At this time, I'm proud to say that black men especially, our incarceration rate has gone down tremendously. It is under 1 million, and we is 22 million of us, and we're specifically targeted. And many of them are in jail because of weed and child support, okay? Nevertheless, that 1994 crime bill, something that I'm gonna talk about a little later on this week, it fueled the prison boom to turn incarceration into an industry. All you have to do is scare the hell out of the American public and they'll be willing to spend the money to keep these people locked up. Now, the same playbook is back. It's just rebranded, different faces, same game, same profit motive, same state-sanctioned abuse, wrapped in the language of law and order. Now, the numbers prove it. Across Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, and Biden, okay? That's 20 years of presidencies. 10 million people were deported. Okay, billions of dollars poured into ICE, military-style raids, yet the undocumented population still hovers around 12 to 15 million. Why? Because mass deportation is not the plan, family. On July 8, 2025, the ICE memo, which I talked about earlier, it gave away the truth. Section 235 of the Immigration and Nationality Act. Anyone who entered without inspection is now treated as an applicant for admission. That means no bond hearing, no judges, no release. ICE has sole discretion in detention to hold you indefinitely for months and years in cages. And here's the kicker. Once you're detained, you don't just sit idle. America knows how to turn bodies into business. From private prison contracts to government work programs, detention isn't about removal anymore. It's about revenue. All of this fuss, and we've only deported 200,000 people, but we've arrested far more than that. What do you think? They're going to deport 12 to 15 million in 4 years? That's impossible. They can't move that many people. It's too expensive. It's impossible. So this is the Convict Leasing 2.0 plan. Only now, instead of criminalizing black life through vagrancy laws, they're criminalizing undocumented existence. Instead of chain gangs, it's ICE detention centers and razor wire. Instead of sheriffs leasing out black men to plantations, it's corporations and agencies profiting off immigrant labor under the banner of detention. So let's be clear. The plan was never to deport everybody. It is physically impossible to do that. That was a distraction. The real agenda is a far more sinister shift from deportation to detention, from detention to forced labor. They came here to work, and the government's answer is fine. Now you're gonna work for us. That's the same cold logic they used on us after slavery. Arrest the poor, target the vulnerable, strip away due process, rebrand bondage as justice, and suddenly we back in the fields. Only now there are barbed wire fences and federal contracts. Again, let me run some numbers down to you. With the undocumented population in the U.S. at these historic levels, the government knows it cannot realistically deport everybody. Again, over the past 20 to 30 years, the U.S. has never come close to removing its entire undocumented population, not even during its most aggressive periods of enforcement. Let's get the facts straight. Under President Bill Clinton, from 1993 to 2001, that is 8 years, he deported approximately 1.87 million. That's almost 2 million. And they were active. George Bush, GW, 2001 to 2008. For you guys who don't know, he was the president during 9/11 and the Iraq wars. He oversaw more than 2 million removals. So you got Bill Clinton, Democrat, 1.87 million, almost 1.9 million. George Bush, aggressive, 2 million. Barack Obama, they call him the deporter in chief. He got 3.2 million. He putting up numbers. You know what I'm saying? He got him a little football contract, 3.2 million. Okay? In 2013, the most he ever deported was 438,000. That's the most. Donald Trump from 2017 to 2021, despite these hardline policies, he was only able to remove 1.5 million. Under Joe Biden, 1.1 million. All right? So even in Trump's second term, as of April of 2025, he's only been able to send home between 70 and 140,000. How is he going to send home 12 to 15 million? So I want you all to understand something. Altogether, over 20 years of presidential enforcement and militarized raids and billions in funding, ever expanding immigration bureaucracy, the U.S. has managed to deport only 10 million people, which still represents a fraction of the total undocumented population. The most conservative and robust sources currently place the unauthorized immigrant population in the U.S. at minimum 12 million. But the actual estimate suggests it's somewhere between 15 and 16 million, depending on the methodology, and some people put it up as high as 18 million. And so now you understand what this is about. We don't have to speculate, because that ICE memo confirms what we know. Okay, this isn't a theory, this is a policy. We're not going to let them bond out. We're not going to let them have bond hearings. Trump just fired a whole bunch of immigration judges and got some new ones in. We're going to lock them up for months and years. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. ICE has the sole discretion to hold on to these people for whenever. This is a complete shift in policy. Before, if someone entered the country without inspection but wasn't subject to mandatory detention, they could at least request a bond in front of a judge. At least they can get in front of a judge. The door is closed now. And who does this affect? It affects millions, especially those who on TPS. All them Haitians, temporary protected status, they can't send home 500 Haitians. Nobody can send home 500 Haitians. They can't send home 500 Cubans. That's impossible. This isn't about sending people home. It's about detaining people. A scalable, what do you think, what do they call it, alligator Alcatraz is down in Florida? a scalable infrastructure for long-term detention without judicial oversight. And in this country, we know what comes next. Labor, they are going to put them to work. And once they're stripped of their rights and detained without bond and placed in indefinite custody, your body becomes a resource to be used, moved, and monetized. So if you thought my assessment, or you think my assessment is exaggerated before you know, now you know it wasn't. This memo is a receipt. So what's the takeaway? It's simple. They were never going to deport everybody. That was never the plan. Okay? They're telling the American public that, but that was never the plan. It was just a distraction. What they're doing now is far more efficient and far more sinister. They're switching gears from deportation to detention, from detention to forced labor. It's a shift from pretending to solve the immigration to openly profiting from it. The logic is as cold as it is familiar. They came here to work. Great, fine. Now they're going to work for the government. Does that sound familiar? It should, because that's exactly what they did to Black America after slavery. They created these petty laws, vagrancy, loitering, being unemployed, and they funneled people into prisons, and they leased them out like property. No trial, no justice, just bodies turned into tools. And now they're doing it again. But this time the bodies aren't just ours. And when I say ours, I'm talking about foundation of Black Americans. But the playbook is identical. Arrest the poor, target the illegals, strip them of their due process, rebrand a prison as a detention center. And suddenly we're back in the fields. And this time there's barbed wires and corporate contract. So today's conversation is about helping you all make the connection from black codes to ICE memos, from convict leasing to private detention centers. We're connecting the dots and calling it what it is. This is convict leasing 2.0. Okay? They call it immigration enforcement, but the truth is it's state-sponsored profiteering. It's capitalism in chains. Somebody's going to make a lot of money. It's slavery rebanded, and people are going to make a lot of money. I want you to stay with me now, because by the time we're done, you'll see exactly how this country keeps finding new bodies to exploit. Why it always starts with laws and that dehumanize and ends with somebody cashing a check. Okay? Now roll with me on something. We're going to go some. I want you to understand this. You need to understand convict leasing and how it arose. When the Civil War ended in 1865, slavery was formally abolished. The South was in ruins. It was tore up. Tracks, train tracks, infrastructure was gone. The plantation had collapsed. The economy was shattered. The white elites were desperate to keep control of labor, land, and power. And they found their answer in the fine print of the 13th Amendment. The amendment ended slavery except as punishment for crime. That one exception became the loophole that resurrected slavery in everything but name. Almost immediately, Southern states passed these black codes, these laws from 1865 to 1866 that criminalized freedom itself. I talked about it. Loitering, vagrancy, idleness, not having papers, not showing proof of employment. These weren't real crimes. They were traps designed to funnel newly freed black men and women into the criminal justice system. Poverty became a crime. Freedom became a crime. Prisons swelled with black bodies. And then they came and then came the scene, the convict leasing. So you put all these people in jail, and then the state said, well, we're going to go ahead and lease these people out. Lease literally. You need 10, I'm going to send 10 down to the bricklaying plant. They leased them out to private industries, cotton plantations. So you back on the same plantation you used to pick cotton on. The railroad, coal mines, turpentine camps, public works. These weren't jobs. They were death sentences with paperwork. Leased prisoners had no rights. They had no protections. They had no pay, and they were whipped. They were starved. They were beaten, and they were literally worked to death. And the companies got free labor. The states pocketed the profit, and the slavery was reborn only This time it wore the mask of criminal justice and penal reform. My granddaddy, they called him Teal because he had a teal blue eye. He had blue eyes. His real name was Eddie Williams. He had two brothers, Lonnie and Gus. Well, granddaddy got arrested for doing something he shouldn't have done, and they put him on the chain gang, and he was working on the railroad. And as he was working on the railroad, the story goes, a railroad tie jumped up and hit him in the eye, and that's how he lost his eye. So by the time I saw him in late 70s, 80s, he had a patch on his eye. But he didn't get medical attention for that. They put that patch on his eye and sent him back out there. So this is real. I can reach out and I've met somebody who was on the chain gang, my granddaddy. And this whole system wasn't an accident. It was deliberately engineered to keep black labor in chains to rebuild the Southern economy on the backs of the very people who had just been freed. It restored the racial hierarchy. Slavery had enshrined and again, okay? It worked, it lasted, and it has never fully gone away. Now, the convict leasing wasn't desperation, it was design. A cold, calculated business. It was modeled, rooted in racial capitalism. Once black men were funneled into jails through the black codes, our incarceration was monetized at every level. Sheriffs, deputies collected arrest fees. Judges imposed fines they knew couldn't be paid. Counties pocketed court costs. States charged private companies to lease the bodies. The entire justice system became a profit-making conveyor belt built on black labor. And make no mistake, black prisoners weren't housed. They were warehoused. Shipped off to contractors with no oversight. No protections, no rights. Because remember, these are convicts. These are people who committed crimes. And see, here's the cold part about it. Because leased convicts had no market value, unlike enslaved black people from generations before, they were disposable. If a convict dropped dead, another arrest would be sued. Just arrest some more people. That was the supply and the replacement. A place called Parchman Farm in Mississippi. That's where my granddaddy was incarcerated. You had Angola down in Louisiana. You had countless camps across the South. Conditions were so brutal that death wasn't an accident, it was an expectation. Shout out to Joshua Ben Joseph. Mortality rates for leased convicts were higher than during slavery. And nobody was ever held accountable. Do you hear that? You had more of a chance of dying after slavery in one of these work camps after being arrested by Jim Crow than you did in slavery. And we're not talking about grown men. We talk about 12 and 13-year-old children were leased out to build levees in Mississippi and mine coal in Alabama and lay track across Georgia or harvest sugarcane and cotton in the blistering sun. They worked in all conditions, beatings, solitary confinement, all routine. And if you were injured, you were left to die. And if you tried to run away, you were shot. If you died, your body was discarded. The state still got its check. The company still got its labor. And the jailer just arrested the next black man that came into the system, even if he was just passing through. This system was so profitable that by the 19th century, Southern states stopped funding their prisons entirely. Why? Because the prison was paying for itself. The prison was the big business. Why pay for prisons when private companies would pay for prisoners? That's how seamless the handoff was from arrest to conviction to forced labor. What emerged was not justice, but a racial conveyor belt. Arrest, convict, lease, abuse, discard, repeat. And it never stopped moving. It just evolved. So by the 1870s, convict leasing wasn't just a scheme, it was an industry. Georgia leased its first 100 prisoners in 1868 for $2,500 to the railroad contract. That was a lot of money back then. And within years, the model spread like wildfire across the South. Every state but North Carolina adopted it. Leasing contracts were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Railroads, coal companies, lumber mills, plantations thrived in a steady supply of incarcerated Black people. All these so-called robber barons, all these folks, these rich white men up in back east that have all these philanthropists and all these Rockefeller type folk, all of them benefited from that. By the 1890s, the math was plain. 80 to 90% of prison populations in some states were Black. Even though Black people made up a tiny fraction of the general population, at that time, we were only 9% of the population. Shout out to Flowers Galore. And we comprise 80 to 90% of the prison population. That wasn't justice. It was racial capitalism running at full speed. And this wasn't a passing phase. Convict leasing lasted for over half a century, long after Reconstruction, deep into Jim Crow. Alabama didn't abolish it until 1928. Even then, it didn't die. It just changed uniforms. Mississippi's Parchman Farm. Hell, I got Texas's Imperial Prison Farm in Sugar Land, which ain't but 10 minutes from where I'm standing right now. They turned it into a children's museum. My children have jumped on the jumper gym that they have down there. Texas Imperial Prison, right down the street. State-run prison farms took over. Shout out to Joshua Ben Joseph. But the system remained. Forced labor, brutal conditions, and Black men worked to death under government watch. These weren't reforms. They were cosmetic changes. They stripped away the private contracts but kept the same engine of exploitation. Black men, many guilty of only being in poverty or idleness. They were still chained, still whipped, still worked like animals until they broke. And that legacy is alive. Modern prisons, especially in the South, are still labor camps. Inmates grow crops, they sew uniforms, they clean highways, they build furniture, even fight wildfires for pennies on the hour. And they also have it in California. You guys remember that story about Kamala Harris as Attorney General didn't want to release the California prisoners because they didn't want to have to pay firefighters because they were using the California prisoners to fight the fires. It's everywhere. And the economic logic of convict leasing never disappeared. It just got absorbed into the DNA of the American penal system. So convict leasing didn't just fill prisons, it built them. It normalized the idea that the state could criminalize poverty by caging Black people and then squeezing profit from our bodies and our labor. And that logic still runs through the prison industrial complex today. And so now with this July 2025 ICE memo, all you have to do is have a healthy understanding of American history, know a little bit about racism, and you can figure out that this cycle is repeating itself. The playbook is the same. Change the faces, rewrite the laws, funnel a new group of people into the cages, and call it justice. History isn't just echoing, it's warning. Now, convict leasing was never just about punishment, it was about power. It was about reasserting white supremacy in the aftermath of slavery's abolition. From the top down, the system was engineered to re-enslave Black Americans through incarceration. After the Civil War, white Southern society faced what it saw as a crisis. You got millions of formerly enslaved black people around here talking free and acting free with all these rights and mobility and the ability to bargain for labor. And that freedom threatened the entire racial and economic order of the Old South. So Southern lawmakers rewrote the laws. That's what they do. They weaponize the law. Have you not figured out that that's what white people do? I want you to understand something. The same Supreme Court that just ruled a year or so ago that you cannot reward people scholarships based on the color of their skin, just ruled today that you can arrest people and deport them and put them in jail based on the color of their skin. See, what you immigrants don't realize, these nice white folk that you love so much, that that you think are so benevolent, that they changed the rules up on you. They did it to us. They gave us freedom and took it back. They allowed us to run for Congress and then they took it back. We bought land and property after slavery and then they took it back. See, but now you immigrants, especially you black ones, you learning some lessons now, and I hope you learn it the way you need to learn it. See, those black codes made the strategy plain. They didn't outlaw violence or theft. They outlawed black existence. A freedman without proof of employment could be jailed for vagrancy. A sharecropper walking without permission could be arrested for loitering. Insulting a white woman, speaking too loudly, or failing to pay a bogus debt could mean prison. These laws were written with black people in mind and enforced exclusively against them. Sheriffs across Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama swept up free folk on trumped up charges and funneled them into the convict leasing system, where many never made it out alive. And so by 1908, over 90% of Georgia's prison population was black. That wasn't an accident. It was a system working exactly as it was designed, a racial caste machine that turned freedom into a crime and poverty into a deficit. Children as young as 12 and 13, chained up, leased out, digging ditches, laying track, picking cotton alongside grown men. Meanwhile, you got white offenders, if they were even arrested, they were usually fined and released, incarceration, leasing, and forced labor with weapons for racial terror. It was a warning to black communities that even in freedom, their lives still belong to the system. This wasn't just a continuation of slavery. It was slavery reincarnated through law. It was a blueprint for control that carried forward from Jim Crow to mass incarceration, from stop and frisk to mandatory minimums, from redlining to the school to prison pipeline. The message has never changed. Law and order in America has always been a tool of police to contain and profit from black life. Shout out to Yahshua Ben Joseph. Now, let's stop pretending that convict leasing is some dusty chapter in history. It's not buried, it's alive. It's etched into the soil of our country, stacked in corporate profits, embedded in the cages of today's prison industrial complex. The system never died, it's simply rebranded. I can go down to Sugar Land right now. They got a construction crew that's down there, and they've unearthed mass graves. They have at least 95 black prisoners buried without names, without tombstones, without dignity, who were worked to death. This is 15 minutes from where I am right now. They were leased convicts. worked to death on a sugarland plantation in Sugarland, Texas, and dumped into the ground like trash. That grave wasn't an anomaly. It was an archive. It was the land itself confessing what officials had always known but refused to confront. This nation was built on black blood and bone and sinew. In Georgia, descendants and activists are still fighting to expose the horrors of the Chattahoochee Brick Company, where leased convicts labored, suffered, and died under government sanction. These weren't prisons, they were labor camps. They were death sentences dressed up as justice. And today, those communities aren't just asking for memorials. They want records. They want names. They want reparations. They want America to stop lying about how this system is phased out. Museums and digital archives are doing the work to educate the public. But let's be real. Most Americans still have no clue what the convict leasing was, let alone how it never actually ended. And that's not ignorance, that's design. Because once people understand the continuity, they start asking the right questions, and those questions lead to accountability. This isn't some distant memory, family. My granddaddy was in one of these from Parchment in Mississippi. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. And so that lets me know this is a present day playbook. The leaked ICE memo tells it all. It came out of the same tradition, rewriting laws to legalize exploitation. And once they used black codes to fill prison camps. And now they use immigration statutes to fill detention centers. And once black bodies were leased to coal mines and plantations. And now illegal immigrants, black, brown people, undocumented bodies are leased to private contractors under federal contract. Different product, same formula. That's not a coincidence, it's continuity. And here's the hard truth. America's never had a reckoning with convict leasing because it never intended to stop using it. It just found new faces to feed into the machine. Remember what the 13th Amendment says. You're a slave. You can be a slave if you're incarcerated. So what do? Well, memorials aren't enough. Tears aren't enough. We need more than plaques and prayers. We need structural change. We need economic justice. We need legislation that dismantles the machine and reparations that reclaim what was stolen, not only from our ancestors, but from our future. Because the ghost of convict leasing isn't haunting America, it's running America. And unless we tear down this machine, it will still be fueled. Now, again, this ain't our fight. All that I just told you is for you immigrant folk. Okay? This is not our fight. I need y'all to understand that. I want each and every one of you immigrants out there, all black, brown, wherever you're from, this is not our fight. Anyone who entered this country without formal admission is now classified as an applicant for admission. That's the law. And that label shuts down the door on bond hearings and judicial review. No immigration judge, no day in court, just indefinite detention and release, if it ever comes. And that depends solely on what ICE says. This is not new. Shout out to Team Cyber One. The Southern lawmakers back in the day called it black codes. Where your papers at? You here legally, boy. Get on the back of that truck. But boss, I was just no. These today immigration statutes do the same thing. They strip rights from marginalized groups and convert human bodies into state-controlled commodities. Different century, different faces, same playbook. And the motive is profit. And see, here's the cold part about it. In the 19th century, The states grew rich by leasing black prisoners to private corporations. But now, today, right now, the federal government funnels billions into no-bid contracts with private prison giants like Core Civic and the Geo Group. And these companies are on the New York Stock Exchange. They don't just profit from immigration enforcement. They depend on it. Did you know that the stock for Geo has gone up as much as 43% over the past 4 years? Core Civic has increased by 21%. Somebody made millions of dollars. And Wall Street knows it. In 2021, I want to learn something now. In 2021, Core Civic stock traded at just under $10 a share. Shout out to Penny Ford. Today, right now, it's over $20 a share. If you put a $100,000 investment in, you'd have $200,000 right now. The Geo Group, same story. It went from $6.92. Today, it's worth $26 a share from 2021. That's more than $150,000 on 10,000 shares in 4 years. Why? Because Trump returned in 2025 and his immediate repeal of Biden's ban on the Department of Justice private prison contracts triggered a surge of new ICE contracts. And it reopened the facilities like Delaney Hall and the South Texas Family Residential Center. And investors cashed in on this human confinement. This is not a policy tweak. It is a revival of an entire economic system built on incarceration. Convict leasing once extracted labor from Black Americans under the pretense of justice. Today's detention economy does the same with immigrants. It's turning vulnerable populations in a modern class of captives for hire. This isn't a theory. This isn't rhetoric. It's happening right now. It's in the federal memos. It's in corporate contracts, in quarterly earning reports. The ghost of convict leasing hasn't returned. It never left. It just learned to file paperwork. Okay? These poor people are getting rich by purchasing these two stocks that I'm putting in the chat room right now. Okay? People are getting rich by buying these two stock right here. I mean, if what you're hearing today sounds shocking, it should be. Okay, and it's just isn't just about awareness, it's about positioning. See, one of the clearest ways to see how deeply America ties human suffering to profit is simple. Watch the stock market. And yes, you can do that. You can open an account and study the movement and even benefit from what others try to keep hidden from you, Black folks. I want to speak directly to my foundational Black American brothers and sisters. I want y'all to come close. What's happening to these undocumented immigrants is tragic. It is horrible. It's exploitation. It's sanctioned by the state. It's legalized by the courts. It's monetized by these corporations. But we're not just bystanders in this economy. We're stakeholders. And for centuries, this country, it used our labor and it used our pain and our very presence to power its economic engine. From slavery to convict leasing to mass incarceration, they cash checks on our backs. And now that others are being swept into the same machine, well, you know, we kind of got a chance to, Uno reverse. I'm just saying, okay? While the system continues to profit off cages and detention, it leaves a paper trail in stock prices and contracts and quarterly earnings. And if everyone else is making money off these policies of pain, why shouldn't we reclaim some of that wealth too? It's legal. There's no shame in it. There's only strategy. Because if the system has exploited us for generations, then common sense says we should at least collect our dividend. Now, shout out to Timothy Bright. You have a right and now the tools to do it. Open a brokerage account, watch the companies tied to this machine, learn the game. You don't need to be wealthy. You don't need permission. With as little as $5 and a phone, you can start building your own stake. Okay? There's several companies. I'm not saying, but there's one called Robinhood, there's Fidelity, there's Schwab, there's TD Ameritrade, there's E-Trade. The platforms are there, the door is open. And these corporations don't care where the profit comes from. They won't stop their exploitation, but but guess what? They're not going to send you a check unless you own a piece of the pie. And if the system insists on profiting off us, then we have a right, or should I say, we have every obligation to claim our share. Now look here, I'm going to take an opportunity. I want you all to understand that we don't relish in anybody else's pain. But I will bet you a dime to a dollar that if the shoe was on the other foot, and it has been, everybody else will be profiting off of us. So don't feel bad. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to open a brokerage account. Are you guys with me? Are you going to learn something with me? I want you to learn. See, the way you get started, you need to open a brokerage account. That's the digital home for your money when you invest in the stock market. Okay. And the good news is it takes just a few minutes online, often with no minimum deposit requirement. Here's some more popular beginner friendly platforms. Shout out to Torrin Jones. Robinhood. You can go to robinhood.com. Let me go ahead and put that in the chat room for you. I want you all to understand. All my brothers and sisters out there, everybody else is getting rich. We might as well go ahead and get us some money to robinhood.com. And then you have Fidelity Investments. They say Robinhood is easy to use, no trade fees, and it lets you buy fractional shares. Okay, so you don't have to buy a $300 share. You can buy, put $350 down on the $300 share. You can buy fractional shares. There's also Fidelity. They got strong customer service. Okay, retirement planning, educational tools. If you want a deeper dive, so you can finally afford to put your son or daughter in that good junior college down the street. Okay, so that's another one. That's schwab.com. And then they have low fees, long-term focus, and excellent research and resources for people who are more serious. So that's something you can look at. Okay, I'm here. I'm here for you all. I hope you all appreciate this lesson. And then also E-Trade. Many of you all probably have heard of E-Trade before. It's simple to interface, strong support, powerful mobile features. Okay, so you use your little cell phone. All right, and you watch a little money between my YouTube channel. Okay, the other one that we have is webull.com, popular with young investors for the kids. It includes advanced charting and trading tools. Another one that is very popular is TD Ameritrade. Okay, I'm putting all these in the chat room. I want everybody to repost all these in the chat room. When you look at everybody who's watching this on the replay, y'all make sure. Now, Ameritrade is known for education. It even offers practice accounts so you can learn before you start putting your real money in. Okay, the point is, family, we got options. Okay, and whether you want to ease in with a few dollars or build a long-term portfolio, all you need is your phone and a valid ID, and we can get this thing started. Look, no longer just the product. Okay, now we're the shareholder. Okay, you can track companies like Core Civic, which trades as CXW on the New York Stock Exchange. So Core Civic, CXW, just go ahead and type in CXW and look at the trends and look how well it's done. This is a prison stock, okay? And you can also check out Geo Group, which is Geo. Okay, this is you can do this yourself. You don't need all these people digging in you don't need all that folks digging in your money. And you can look at it in real time. Okay, every new immigration law, every prison expansion, every detention contract, you're going to watch these stock just blow up. All right. Here's the choice that you all face. Will you keep watching from the sidelines? Huh? Or will you finally claim your seat at the economic table? This isn't about morality. This is about reality. No one has the right to shame you, foundational Black Americans, for investing in a system that has spent centuries extracting value from you for free, from your ancestors for free, from your community for free. This system has never asked for your consent when it chained you and taxed you or worked you to death. But today, in 2025, today, you can flip the script. You can own the stock. Shout out to Timothy Bright. You can read the reports. You can collect the dividends. And most importantly, you can teach your children to do the same, because this isn't about doing it for them. It's about doing it for us, for you, for the generations who've been paying the highest price for the longest time. It's about making sure that when the system profits, you finally get to cut the check. So go online, open an account, learn the market, get your piece, because if anyone deserves a return, we do. You understand? The Black Americans are not just watching history repeat. We're watching it evolve. It has mutated into something slicker, more sanitized, and more globally palatable. But beneath the polish, it's the same old playbook. Once upon a time, it was our bodies being rounded up, criminalized, leased out, and sold to the highest bidder under the convict leasing. Today, the faces in the crosshairs may have changed, but the weapon is the same. And let's be clear, we're not the beneficiaries of this machine. We're the blueprint. We're the cautionary tale. The system learned how to target others by perfecting its war on us first. And we tried to tell them, but they didn't want to hear us. We tried to tell all these immigrants, didn't we? Tried to defend them. Black and brown coalition. We tried to Pan-Africanism. We tried to tell them. Everything we bled for, everything we died for in the civil rights movement has been hijacked and repackaged for benefits of other people, especially immigrant groups who had no hand in historic struggle. Yet now they collect the rewards of our sacrifice. Look at affirmative action. It was meant to redress centuries of exclusion and economic sabotage aimed squarely at Black Americans. But look at the elite universities and corporate boardrooms today. The lion's share of those diversity slots aren't going to foundational Black Americans. They're going to foreign-born or first-generation immigrants from Africa, the Caribbean, or Asia. We cracked the door open and the others pushed us aside and rushed in before we could even get a step. The same story plays out with the set-aside business contracts. These programs were supposed to help build foundational Black American entrepreneurial class after generations of exclusion. But today, they're routinely siphoned off by people who simply check Black or people of color or minority on the form with no cultural, historical, or political ties to our legacy or struggle. They're gaining a system we paid for in blood. We fought to make those doors open, only to watch others walk through and slam the doggone door shut behind them. Look at the urban housing initiatives. Once designed to repair the wounds of redlining and help foundational Black Americans own homes and build generational wealth, they've been twisted in the engines of gentrification. Whether we talk about Fifth Ward, Houston, Texas, or Harlem, New York, or South Central LA, or Bronzeville, our neighborhoods, once vibrant centers of Black American culture, being gutted, flipped, and sold to upwardly mobile transplants, developers, and immigrant investors. The very wealth that was supposed to repair our communities is now being weaponized to drive us out. This isn't bitterness that I'm talking, family. This isn't xenophobia. This is the reality that we live in. Telling the truth about what has been stolen from us doesn't make us hateful. It makes us awake. And being awake means we finally understand that being polite and has cost us everything: housing, jobs, educational opportunities, even our identity as a protected class in this country. Nobody else came to this country empty-handed. Immigrant groups arrived with built-in loyalty to their homelands, their dollars, their votes, their businesses, even their cultural celebrations, even their language are deployed to uplift their people. And you know what? That's smart. That's survival. That's strategy. But what about us? Foundational Black Americans have been here for centuries. We didn't come by choice. We didn't step off a boat with a flag in one hand and a homeland in the other. We're America's moral debt. And yet we're treated like the moral afterthought. Others leverage our blood-soaked history to secure benefits while we're left clapping from the sidelines, told to be satisfied with symbolism while the tangible rewards go elsewhere. A lot of immigrants tell us all we do is sit around and beg. The disrespect, all that ends now. It's time for a nation-first agenda for foundational Black Americans, our agenda. One that says unapologetically, we're looking out for us, just as every other group looks out for their own. We have the moral right and the strategic obligation to put ourselves first. That means reinvesting in our own institutions. That means building political platforms that serve our unique lineage, not watered down coalitions that collapse under compromise. That means recentering the Black American experience, not just in protest, but in profit and policy and power. No more guilt trips. No more distractions. No more shame for choosing survival over shallow solidarity. We don't owe anyone anything because they will quickly tell you they don't owe us anything. If we want to withstand this next wave of policy manipulation and economic warfare and cultural erasure, we are going to have to stand together. We're going to have to move as one, and we're going to have to build without apology, even if that means building on the backs of others and their pain and suffering. Black Americans are long overdue for our own nation first agenda. Everyone else came here looking out for their people. It's time we start doing the same for us and do it without apology. Now, I want you to understand something. Before anyone gets to it, I know y'all are over there type, y'all, 100 people left, 100 folk left my broadcast. You see that? We had over 800 people. 100 people left my broadcast and went to start some investment accounts. Y'all cold-blooded. But I'm not mad at you. Okay? But I want you to understand something, family. I want you to hear me before you get too giddy. Let's pause and deal with reality. We as foundational Black Americans specifically must never forget that we are and we always have been the number one target of white supremacy racism in this country. No matter how the political winds shift, no matter which group is in the crosshairs today, the system always keeps its sights on us. And here's the part we must understand. they will always find a way to flip the script and put the blame back on us. Even right now, Donald Trump is cracking down on so-called illegal immigration through raids and detention, but he's already promised that once he's done, right, he's going after Newark, Baltimore, Chicago, and he's moving in on New Orleans, the same in Philadelphia, the same way he did DC and every other black enclave in this country. And how will he sell it? Under the familiar cover of cracking down on crime. Shout out to Black Abdullah. And we've seen this movie before. This is why we must be vigilant. We cannot afford to get swept up in emotion or overzealousness when making decisions that affect our collective survival. Our leaders made that mistake back in 1994 with that crime bill, chasing the quick political win, trying to look tough on crime. And what did it lead to? It led to 2 million black men behind bars at peak mass incarceration, families shattered, communities destabilized, wealth destroyed, all because emotion and political expediency overrode strategy. So let this be our lesson. No matter what we build, no matter what agenda we pursue, we must keep our eyes open. We must be disciplined. We must move strategically, not emotionally, because the same system that perfected its war on us is always waiting for a chance to use our missteps against us. Our survival depends not just on building, but on building wisely. Now, I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody who contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. We got 19 Super Chats in here. I appreciate you guys. As I always say, if you learn something, I should earn something. And I'm certain that you all learned something. So if we can get to, we got 19 Super Chats, my God, maybe we can get to 25. It'd be great to get to 25. I thought y'all learned something. I guess you didn't learn anything. I guess I'll have to do better next time. But in the meantime, let me make sure I give a shout out to all the beautiful people who contributed to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. Let me see if I'm going to start off with my Cash App people. Shout out to my man, Mark. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Let's go ahead and get the mood music going real quick. I'll get the music playing, and we'll read all these Super Chats, and we'll answer them as best we can. Y'all make sure y'all hit the number 1 button as I'm going through it. And let's go ahead and continue. We got all right, we got 19 Super Chats. Shout out to my man, Lord Jesus. Salute, Uncle D, love, respect. We got 19 Super Chats. Let's try to get to 20. Who else we got in here? My man, Lance Jackson, reviews. Thank you for the $5 Super Chat. In my opinion, the attorneys in Cali acted out of emotion, which clouded good judge. Yeah, that was stupid. I don't know why they would have brought that case in front of this Supreme Court, knowing how they were going to rule. Anybody, a blind man could have told you how that. We got 20 Super Chats. Let's try to get to 25. Did you all learn something? But only if you learned something. If you didn't learn it, and I'm not finished, I still have some more. I got the blistering closing statement coming up in a minute. So y'all hang in there. Make sure y'all hit the number 1 button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Make sure you do that. That is number 1 thing to do. And also, as we march towards 100,000, I want my plaque. But let's keep Timothy Bright. Thank you so much for the $2 Super Chat. No anti-black protection bill this time. No voting. Thank you so much, Timothy Bright. Can't get yours or anyone notification. Oh, I don't know, man. That YouTube is tripping sometimes. Thank you so much, my girl Penny Ford. What's up, baby girl? You are such a natural teacher. It's hard to have conversations these days. Everyone seems programmed. People who have always been stable-minded are now as unreasonable sheeple. Thanks for being a no gaslighting zone. For yeah, man, no gaslighting over here, man. We speak the cold hard truth. We got 20 Super Chats, man. If we can get to 25, that'll be live, but only if you learn something. If you didn't learn anything, you don't owe me anything. I'll do better tomorrow. I'll be back soon. Shout out to my man Urban Eagle, old school, way back, man. My man Urban Eagle been here for a minute. James Harper, thanks for all you do. Hey, no problem, man. And thank you all for having me back. Who else we got? You are a fellow martial artist. Want to know who you think will win this week, Canelo or Crawford? Man, Crawford. I'm gonna go with my brother Crawford. Canelo is old and Crawford is a monster. Shout out to him, my man. But you know, Canelo he learned a lot getting beat up by Floyd. So we'll see what happens. Flowers galore, and the immigrants say they built the country. Lies and deception. Joshua Ben Joseph, thank you so much. Another reason why Americans are experiencing higher auto insurance rates nationwide, soaring ridiculous house prices due to all these immigrants, illegal or illegally. Yeah, you know, we can get some of these immigrants out of here. So the demand for resources will go down. Job opportunities will go up. And we can get some of these prices lower. It's just a lot of folk over here. Joshua Ben Joseph, how will SCOTUS rule on birthright citizenship? Hey, man, I did a broadcast on that. I have an idea, and I will definitely be giving the play-by-play once it comes down. Team Cyber One, respect. Thank you so much. Also, Penny Ford. Let's see here. Thank you so much. This is such a confirmation of truths. We were too blind to see. This is not based on something we have seen on TV. We have actual receipts connected to our families. We have actually met our ancestors who suffered atrocities. That's true. And I'll bring it to you, man. I'm going to tell you, I share a lot about my past and a lot about my family history because I think that's important. It makes it real to you. But these are conversations I grew up with. You know, this is a reality that I live. Shout out to Timothy Bright. He says, tomorrow I will contact my investor about these. Don't you be out here investing in these folk. That's so sad of you to be out there trying to get rich. I ain't mad at you though, man. Shout out to you. I'm gonna do the same thing. Torrin Jones, which company and which stock to invest profit from this? Yeah, Geo, I put that up there earlier, man. Check that out. Thank you so much, Torrin. Timothy Bright, what do you think about Edward Jones? I'm with him. It sounds like sounds like you need to call your stockbroker and get some money shifted. We got 22 super chats. Let's try to get to 25. That'll be live. Yes, sir. Super sticker. Black Abdullah, peace and blessings, brother Dennis. That for the future FBA. Thank you so much, family. Yaya's kid. Shout out to this. Thank you so much, Yaya's kids. I appreciate the super sticker. Johnny Harris, thank you, Professor Spurling. Thank you so much. Reviewing reviewer reviews. Thank you for the $2 super sticker. I learned a lot and confirmed even more. Thank you so much, baby girl. All right, we got 23 super chats. You guys are awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and just give you guys a big hand clap. Thank for everybody. I know you guys have missed me around these YouTube streets. I have been tending to my children and whatnot and enjoying my summer. But I'm back for a minute, man. Shout out to we got 23 super chats. Thank you so much, everybody. If we can get to 25, that'd be great. If not, I'll do better next time. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and maybe we'll get to 25 by the time I get through. So look, let me cut this music real quick, man. I want you guys to hear what I'm saying. So I want to be crystal clear about something, okay? Oh, and let me put this up too, just before I forget. All right, I want to put this up. If you need an attorney, contact. This YouTube is not my job, okay? It's not where I make my money. I appreciate the donations, but I would like for you all to contact me if you've been involved in a car accident. You can hit me up at 713-229-0770. I have friends all over the country that I can help you with. I'm licensed in 6 states myself, but I'd be more than happy to help you out, at least give you a free consultation for a car accident. Don't call me for civil rights. Don't call me for criminal. Don't call me for family law. Call me for car accidents, 18-wheeler accidents, or in some cases, trip and falls. If you tripped and fall in a, hurt yourself seriously. All right. But y'all make sure y'all do that, man. Look out for me, just like I look out for you with these lessons. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more, okay? Like I said, we have 23 super chats. I appreciate everybody who contributed. You guys, if you learn something, I should earn something. If I'd like to get to 25, that'll be live. But if we can't, that's okay. But I want to be crystal clear about this. This is not our problem. This whole situation is not our problem, okay? We're foundational Black Americans. We're not immigrants. Okay. We're not guests. We're citizens born from centuries of unpaid labor. Our ancestors' bones and bodies are buried in this land. Okay? We got, look, between the unpaid labor and the broken promises and the systematic betrayal. See, that's what our lineage doesn't begin with a visa stamp or a border crossing. It begins in the belly of slave ships, in cotton fields, in protest lines, in courtrooms, in trenches of the civil rights movement. Some of us were here before the first Europeans got here. We built this country with our blood, our sweat, and our dead. And while we can empathize with anyone facing hardship, we are under no obligation to carry the burdens of others, especially when we're still clawing out from under our own issues, especially when we warned you. Okay? Let's not forget immigration policy has never been kind to us. In fact, it's often been used. Shout out to Yolanda Edney. And by the way, this phone number at the bottom of the screen is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call right now and talk to a live person, so you don't have to wait till tomorrow. I know accidents happen at night. I know sometimes, so you can go ahead and make that phone call now. But let me get back to my conversation. We got 24 super chats. Let's try to get to 25. That'll be all right. But again, these immigrants were brought over here to replace us. These immigrants have been used against us. They come in to flood the job markets, to undercut our wages, to dilute our political power and replace our cultural voice with a hollow version of diversity that includes everyone else but us. So when we see the government detaining and exploiting illegal immigrants for labor, yes, it's inhumane. Yes, it's another form of legalized bondage, but let's keep it 100. We didn't build this system. We don't benefit from it like that unless we choose to participate economically. That being the case, family, you've seen the numbers. Companies like Core Civic and the Geo Group are doubling and tripling in value on the backs of immigrant detention. That's not morality. It's economics. And here's the hard truth. While they profit, we suffer. While our ancestors were locked in the convict leasing claims chains, today's system has changed uniforms and zip codes. But the hustle is still the same. And let me give you a caveat, because I explained this earlier. Don't forget that we are still the #1 target of white supremacy. Don't think for a second that these policies won't boomerang back on us. Donald Trump has already signaled what he's going to do. Okay? We've seen this script before. We saw it in 1994 when our leaders got swept up because of fear and emotion and supported the crime bill. Shout out to Timothy Bright. Thank you so much, brother. All those millions of black men locked in prison. We're not going to repeat that same mistake. We're not going to have any emotional reactions. We're not going to trade strategy for symbolism. And for those who think solidarity demands we put others before us, or we feel so sorry for them that we don't benefit like they would if the script was flipped. I mean, what do you think would happen if they were deporting us? Do you think these folks would line up to stop us from being deported? If our families were being broken up and our children were ripped away, our community was under siege, would anybody come to our aid? History answers that for you, and the answer is no. When we were redlined out of ownership, nobody came. Matter of fact, the Latinos said they wanted to be white. When we were being lynched and burned out of our towns in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Rosewood, nobody came for us. When Jim Crow ruled the South and the Covenants ruled the North, nobody came. Africa didn't send a bunch of boats over here to bring us home after we were freed in 1865. None of those countries did. When our schools, shout out to Johnny Harris, when our schools were underfunded and our men were warehoused in prisons Nobody came for us. So yes, it's tragic when others suffer. But don't expect us to forget that we stood alone and we fought alone and we bled alone and we built alone. We marched for that affirmative action. We bled for that minority business programs. We laid the groundwork for equal opportunity. That came on our backs. And yet today, you all have lost it. You siphoned off what you could, and now we handed it off to you to hold the mantle, and you dropped it. All you immigrants had to do was check the right box and wave the flag or play the diversity game. At least that's what you thought. Meanwhile, our dollars bled out of our communities. You got Africans sending their money home to Nigeria, calling themselves black, sending their money home back to Nigeria and Jamaica and Trinidad and Haiti and all these other places. We think we recycling black dollars. They're going to foreign countries. That's not group economics, that's economic leakage. We can't build our schools and businesses and neighborhoods if the money leaves the community because we think we're spending with black businesses, but the black people are sending the majority of their money back to Jamaica and Trinidad trying to build a house. The truth is, family, and this is the cold-hearted truth, we as foundational black Americans were stronger before the Immigration Act of 1965. We were more married. We had more unity before we opened up the floodgates and let all these foreigners come over here, especially the black ones, because they didn't come over here with unity. They came over here for opportunity. See, before we diluted it into a rainbow coalition that never marched for us, shout out to Sonya C., we made more progress when America was forced to focus on us, foundational black Americans, because our fight was rooted in this soil, under this Constitution, in this land. And it's time to put foundational black Americans first. We don't owe loyalty to anyone who hasn't bled with us. I got much love for all the Africans and the Caribbeans and the Latino people who have been down with us, but you all are few and far between. Most of you all practice anti-black racism. You got Africans and Caribbean who practice foundational racism or intra-racism. And so it's time for foundational black Americans to put ourselves first. We don't owe loyalty to anyone who hasn't bled for our causes. We don't owe solidarity to anyone who didn't stand with us. We owe it to ourselves and our ancestors and our children to reclaim every opportunity that was meant for us. So yes, send them home. And if they refuse, lock them up. Put them to work. The same way this country did us for generations. The same way they profited off our blacks, now it's our turn. And I know that's cold-blooded. How can you as a black man be willing to profit off the labor of others? Every person, every country in this world has benefited from the success that foundational black Americans have brought to America. Every country, whether we're talking about European countries, Africans who sold us into slavery, the Latino countries who've benefited from selling that dope and that cocaine and all that, the heroin that they send up here. Everybody has benefited from us, from our destruction. So when it comes to us getting a little payback and benefiting off of their back, I have no problem with it. And that might be cold-blooded, but that's why they call me the Blizzard King. You all came here saying you wanted to work. Well, now you can work. But this time it's going to benefit Americans, black Americans, not your homeland. No more of those remittances. You're not going to go to Western Union and send it back. No more divided loyalties. And that's not xenophobia, that's survival, that's strategy, that's justice. And if the truth makes anyone uncomfortable, too bad. Nobody ever apologized to us. See, we need to be clear about what really happened to us. Slavery couldn't break us up. It didn't break the black family. Jim Crow couldn't break up the black family, but that 1994 crime bill and that war on drugs, woo, it did what no other system of oppression had managed to do. It destroyed the very heart of the black community. The most painful part of it all. We applauded while it was being passed. On September 13th, 1994, Bill Clinton signed the largest crime bill in U.S. history. $30 billion, right on the south line of the White House. Now, people who defend the law says it didn't cause mass incarceration. The problem already existed. That's smoke and mirrors. The truth is this. Yes, incarceration was already high, but the 1994 crime bill accelerated. It poured gasoline on the fire. Incarceration rates kept climbing for another 14 years after its passage. That's 2 generations. How did it feed the beast? 2 ways. First, it gave states the federal blessing to go harder, tougher in what's called truth in sentencing laws. More mandatory minimums, more prosecutors eager to throw the book at us, more police empowered to flood our neighborhoods and drag us away for longer stenches. Second, it reshaped the Democratic Party politics for over a decade. Clinton wanted to out-tough the Republicans. Democrats didn't want to look soft on crime, so they bragged about instituting the death penalty for nearly 60 new crimes. They bragged about locking up our black kids and our adults, and bragged about building more prisons and keeping them full. So by 2008, when incarceration hit its peak, that tough on crime posture had been official Democratic policy for 12 straight years. This wasn't just Clinton's doing. If he was the pot, many of our own leaders were the kettle. Our desperation, our fear of genuine desire for safety co-signed our destruction. And I'm going to talk about this some more. But this is what incarceration done. And this is how it destroyed us. Now, these folk who supported it, they weren't evil. They just wanted safer neighborhoods. They wanted relief from the real violence in the communities. They let the fear write the policy. And that's what you see America's doing right now. But that being the case, a lot of people got rich. So hear me well, black people, be mindful. Don't get swept up in the emotion. Don't get overzealous. Don't let politicians and Democrat or Republican, because a lot of us have turned Republican now. We don't want to repeat history because we need to step lightly. This is a real cautionary tale from the 1994 crime bill. Even if our leaders have the best intention, that includes you. You leading your household. You want to see these immigrants gone. Step lightly. Because if we're not careful, if we don't stay awake, if we don't stay strategic, and if we don't stay united, they'll run the same play again. And the next time, it won't just break us, it'll erase us. This is Uncle D. I love you all. God bless y'all. As I always say at this time, I'm out.
Dennis Spurling.
In the city where the lights don't sleep, Uncle D got the vibe so deep. Representing men strong and free. Dennis Spurling's the king of the spree. In the streets where the rhythm flows, Black men rising, that's how it goes. Uncle D got the truth to show. In his heart, that's where the fire glows. Late night tuning, light up the stream. Dennis Spurling, wisdom gleam. Voices whisper truth and insight. In his podcast, feel the light. Harmony in every word. Truth and laughter you've heard. Well, that's all right. Wave after wave of smooth delight. Dennis brings the dark to light. That's the living, baby! Share the tales unfold. Stories born like morning gold. Feeling the wisdom that's building. Subscribe and like time after time.
Black men, black men, black men. I want to salute you. Your incarceration rate is down. The education rate is up. We up. We win from it. We are doing great for ourselves. So you should salute yourself. Shout out to all the brothers out there, whether you're a truck driver or an engineer, whether you're an electrician or garbage man, a doctor, a lawyer, if you a hard-working brother, if you fresh out the penitentiary, but you on your grind and you doing it legal and you trying to make amends for yourself, man, I salute you too, brothers. God bless you. This is Uncle D, and you know, I'm out.